don't know if I have the choice or not. I guess I do have that.
You figured it out, whatever you did.
I had a little problem there
You don't think so?
first, coming out Ellsworth Road.
I can see y'all.
I got all twisted up.
We can.
You know,
I got a close up of your forehead.
Well, good. Tell me what my future looks like there.
yeah, I was coming out from Madison. Yeah,
Give me just a second. I'm trying to. We got the same problem we had the other day with this
yeah.
this thing.
Well, I was one of them people that
Blew it her.
no, that went across where it's supposed to turn.
Yeah.
You know, they should have done it backwards. Should have done it
Yeah, they should have flipped it.
where it should be.
Well, what they
Then we'll
should
have a
done
red
is
paper
put a
because of
new
that.
light up there for left, right turns
Yeah.
only and hold it. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, you know what that did for all of it.
Yeah. Well, you said something one time. I think you was right.
What?
I ain't gonna say right now. Well, sort of right.
What was it?
All right. One day we'll talk about it.
He's right there trying. He's twerking. He's our IT.
I can't sit here and put this man
He's
on.
our IT man behind the scenes.
He ain't a very good one either.
Get back up here so we can roll.
Well, okay, we ain't gonna
can't
have
read.
YouTube.
We'll have
Did you get your shot?
Huh?
we'll have YouTube.
Okay.
I was gonna say,
I think.
when they said that you could,
Can I restart this? Was that too much trouble?
when they said
To reboot?
It's your world,
Hang
brother.
on, Tom.
You talking about something I don't know much.
Tom, can you hear us?
We can't hear him. Is he muted?
Is that what you're trying to fix, where we can hear him?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, hang on a second. I'm gonna reboot the computer so we can come through the.
Oh, there it goes.
Hey, if your concern is YouTube, why don't you just hit start stream and I'll let you know if it's working.
Hang on a second. Are you seeing the conference room now, Tom?
Yeah, I got the whole room now.
Lordy fixed it.
don't you think?
Okay, I think I got
I
it.
thought that. I thought that from the word.
Did he come through the microphone?
Is this my, Kate
Yeah.
Thacker, that's me.
Yep.
That means it's fixed.
We're about 1 minute away.
Hey, Tom, say one more thing, please.
One more thing.
All right, yeah, we got you.
All right.
Out here in the fields.
All right, we're good.
I'm going to call the October 14th, 2021 regular town council meeting, of the town of Stokesdale to order. First item on the agenda, and I'm going to get Randy Southard, our assistant fire chief, to do the Pledge of Allegiance and then the invocation. So if you'll stand with us, he will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Father, we ask your presence with us tonight as we meet here in Stokesdale. We ask that you be with those who make decisions, that they might be guided by your strong will. We ask for those who are here on special matters that they might be given the proper opportunity to express their opinions, and they too would be guided by your direction. We ask for those in the world tonight, Father, who need special miracles. You are the guy who can perform what needs to be done to keep us all where we should be, on the path we should travel. Be with those who are sick, be with those who have special needs, and we'll be careful to give you the praise. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Randy. Next item on the agenda, review and adopt the agenda. Does anyone have any additions or corrections or changes to the agenda? Then I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
I do have
Oh, okay.
on second page, number
That's
8.
not an agenda change, that's just a correction when we get down to that case.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Call the question, Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
And aye. Review and adopt the minutes of the July 8th, 2021 town council meeting. Does anyone have any changes or corrections to that? Then
No.
I'll entertain a motion to adopt those as presented.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as written.
No, the minutes.
I mean, the minutes, what am I saying?
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Call a question. Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren? Aye. And aye. Next item on the agenda, public safety report, fire department from Randy.
Giving you this report tonight on behalf of Chief Dolan. He is recovering from some surgery and doing quite well, but taking a little break tonight. The month of September remained busy for the fire department. We ran 78 total calls. One of those was a building fire. 2 of those were for other types of fires. We had 3 unintentional alarms, which used to be called years ago false alarms. They're not necessarily false, but they're calls that didn't come out to be what the caller thought they would be. We ran 29 calls that were service calls and good intent calls. Could be anything from a tree removal to somebody needing us to check smoke in a house. We ran 43 medical emergencies, and that continues to be the largest part of what the fire department does, is to assist emergency medical services in this area. Our thoughts for you to remember and take home with you this month, I'm going to give you a couple of things to think about. It happens that it's almost time to change our clocks again. We always recommend that that's a great time for you to change your smoke detector batteries. So if you've got smoke detectors in your house, and we certainly pray that everybody does, be sure they're working, be sure the batteries are good, and if they've been there a long time, think about buying some new ones. They're fairly inexpensive, and those things are only rated for about 10 years before they start going bad. So smoke detectors save lives. That proof is out there every day. So we recommend strongly that you take smoke detectors very seriously. Along with that thought, we ask you to please work with your families to create an escape plan. A very important part of that escape plan is to have a place to meet once you get out of whatever building or whatever vehicle or wherever you are where you need our assistance. Gather where we can find you. If we know where everybody is and everybody's there, it makes our job a lot easier, because then we can deal with the seriousness of the fire or the emergency at hand and not have to worry about where people are. The other thing I would caution you about, and it involves electrical issues. We find a lot of instances where people, instead of calling an electrician to add an outlet, will take advantage of extension cords. Extension cords are not safe. They weren't meant for permanent use. And we find a lot of folks who choose to hook up things and leave them forever attached to a drop cord. We even find people that like to daisy chain them together because they don't go quite far enough. And usually the ones that don't go far enough are the cheap version, and they're not made to last very long, and they're not coated very well. So extension cords are very dangerous. Use them where you need them, but use them sparingly and temporarily. And if you got a permanent need, make a permanent solution.
One other thing
Yes.
also is all of a sudden, a couple of weeks, it's gonna be cold, supposedly, ashes from fireplaces.
Yeah, we've had several calls in our district over the years where people will dump from fireplaces or where they've burned even trash, and they'll take it out and put it under the deck.
Yep.
Or they'll put it on the back porch, and it happens to be near other debris on the back porch, and it only takes one little bitty spark and just one little puff of wind, and all of a sudden we've got a house fire. So very important to be careful with ashes during the winter months as well.
One last thing, Randy, in terms of like an evacuation route too, or a meeting place. What about, we used to have it where if you had a kid's bedroom, you would put a little sticker in the window so the firemen know that there was a child in there at night. Do y'all have those, or do you still recommend doing that?
We would recommend that that's a great way to help us find kids. The problem we ran into years and years ago was insurance companies used to provide those free of charge. But what we found were people would be in a house child's bedroom is over here on the left corner. They move out and go somewhere else. The family that comes in doesn't have children or puts them in a different room. And then we're expending energy going to a room where we're not gonna find anything. And somebody else may burn up in the house in a different room. So we encourage you to mark them, but mark them accurately. And for that reason, we don't give out those stickers anymore to put in windows. But there are some out there if you go online, and we can probably help you find some. But the danger is that they're in the wrong place.
Okay. Thanks, Stu.
Hey, Randy, I have one question. So going back to smoke detectors, if we have an elderly citizen that doesn't have the means to get up to change a battery, can y'all do that? Or is that, okay.
We also have some smoke detectors that are donated by the county each year. And we're glad to give them one if they need it and come put it up.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next item, administrative report, Dale.
This month, we had 12 meters sold, 16 applications for transfers of service, 43 new meters on hold for builders, 2 backflow preventer applications were received, 89 811 calls were received, 643 water bills were sent out in September, 651 water bills were sent out today, had 8 picnic shell rentals, and we had our fire inspection, we coordinated several things with that. Century Watch came in and certified all the fire alarms. We had fire extinguisher sales and services came in and serviced our fire extinguishers and approved those. We also had Overhead Door Company come in and certify this fire door right here. Let's see. We also had, this room here was used by 5 different groups this time. The candidates forum was held in here. We had several HOA groups that used this room. Land Solutions held a neighborhood meeting in here. Been working with Coldwater Terrace on finalizing their paperwork for their performance bond. Have been researching the debt set-off program that we've talked about for delinquent water bills that's hosted by the North Carolina League of Municipalities. Apparently you've used that in the past, in 2016. It was researched again in 2020, but nothing was filed. In order for us to do that, we do have to have Social Security numbers, so we have amended our application to include Social Security numbers. People apply for new service, so we'll be able to use that next time. Filed an annual report with NCDEQ regarding solid waste, even though we don't have solid waste here. We're required to file a report with them each year. We filed annual salary reports with the North Carolina League as requested. We've worked with TCS on some updating our computer for our staff here at Town Hall. And then Priscilla and I have been cleaning out some books. If anybody wants any books, please take them with you tonight so we can make room for a new employee.
Okay. Any questions for Dale? Administrative reports, planning board. Anything from planning board?
The next planning board meeting is 28th, October 28th, and at this point, I don't have the agenda as to what cases are up.
Okay. Events committee?
Yeah, good evening. The parade, we're still on track for the parade, Saturday, December the 11th. It'll start at 2 p.m. The next events committee meeting is a week from tonight here at Town Hall at 6 p.m. The parade is coming together. We're going to have several food trucks that has been confirmed. We'll do what we've done in the past with Crossroads Church doing the hot dogs. So looking forward to a great parade this year. Things are still coming together. The events committee does need some money, so I'm going to ask for a motion. I haven't put together necessarily a budget. Last year we did $5,000 for the cruise through for advertisement and other things. We're still going to do advertising this year with the Northwest Observer. I noticed Rudolph's missing a leg here in the closet, so we need to get a new Rudolph.
He's ready for the old folks home.
Yeah, we'll but Yeah, I'd entertain a motion to allow me to oversee a budget of $5,000 to put on this parade.
So moved.
Can we, okay, I'll make a motion that we allot $5,000 for the parade committee.
You can second.
Huh?
I made the motion, you can second.
Oh, I'll second. Did you make a
Okay.
motion?
Yeah,
didn't hear
so
you.
moved. Okay, any discussion? Call a question, Jim?
I just discussing, we're gonna do a normal drive parade this time?
Oh, yeah, normal conventional parade, not what we've done for 30 years, not last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
And I. Property Committee.
Nothing at this time. I believe, Dale, did you reach out to, our mowing company about the mulch?
Priscilla did contact
Okay,
me.
Priscilla, I couldn't remember who the email was from. Did they give us a time? I know they had some COVID issues. Did they give us a timeline on when they could do that?
They did not.
Okay.
Their whole staff has COVID and are kind of out of service. I think they're supposed to mow. He was trying to work with them to work out a schedule for either Friday, tomorrow or Saturday with the ball games and stuff. But I don't know if she was able to work that out or not, but we didn't want them out there mowing when there's games going on in some of the fields and stuff, but she was
Okay.
trying to work that out with him.
All right.
While we're doing reports, I'm going to make just a brief statement. We received a letter from the Department of Transportation, September 15th, 2021. It was dated then. I don't think we got it until a couple days ago. As you know, they've had discussion for the last several years about the 158 bypass from Walkertown to Stokesdale and 220. And the last information we received, I don't know, maybe a year ago, was they had changed the priority on that, and they did not anticipate that coming to fruition. There was no funding on it. But we received a letter from DOT basically saying that they want to do some environmental studies on that route from Walkertown, Reesville Road to Stokesdale on 220. And they basically just wanted to let people know, and I think they sent everyone that was impacted a copy of this letter, and said that there will be engineers, surveyors, geologists, and biologists with state and federal environmental agencies that may be out, and they didn't give a time frame on that, but in the next few months. They'll be wearing safety vests, they'll have picture IDs, and they'll be placing flaggings and survey markers to identify basically streams and wetlands, if there's any present on your property. And they ask that no one remove those markings or survey flags or things like that. So I just wanted to let everyone know that I don't know if this means it's back on the consideration, but at least they're going to do an environmental issue study. And I'll have Dale post this on the Stokesdale website just so everybody can read it and if it's relevant to you. And we'll keep you updated. You know, the last time we heard, they were supposed to have a meeting in August. They were talking about instead of doing a 158 bypass, they were going to do some possibly turn lanes and improvements on the major intersections, 68 and 158 and 68 and 65. So don't know where we stand. Sometimes when they put them on a state list, it can take a long, long time. But anyway, I just wanted to read that into the minutes so people will know.
Where are they looking? I mean, are they going with that northern route, or are they looking at other routes now, or what are they doing?
It doesn't say. They're just saying they're doing environmental.
So they
studies.
allowed to pop up anywhere?
Huh?
They're allowed to pop up anywhere then, in the town?
Yeah.
They didn't say?
Well, I think there's a town hall over one of the routes, and then there's a bunch of houses over another one, so I
Well,
think
they
there's
took this
only-
route out a long time ago, the northern and southern route, but they said it was going north. And, so I don't know. John will know more if he
We
knows
don't know.
anything.
We haven't heard other than just this letter.
All right, well,
Okay, next item, financial and budget reports from Kim.
We'll start with the general fund first. And the the balance sheet for the, as you can see, the Bank of Oak Ridge, the money market account is down to
Pull
23.
your microphone a little closer, please, Kim. Can't hear you.
Yes, I was looking for it. I was like, where is he at? Is that better?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, thank you. The Bank of Oak Ridge money market account is $23,204.07. Our total CDRs in the Bank of Oak Ridge is $2,556,636.80. Our Fidelity checking account is $614,286.57. Petty cash is $150. We have receivables for salary and for Gary of $1,056.87. Water reimbursement is total at $27,037, and then there's a water expense due to the general fund as well for $330 for chemicals. We did cash in a CDR for $32,331.51 that was deposited into the Bank of Oak Ridge money market account. We did close on the Athens Road property September 28th. Is that correct, Tom? I believe that's the date that we closed on that property. We did transfer out a total of $214,751.58 for that property. On the budget versus actual, for the month of September, our reimbursement from water for the shared overhead expenses is $7,166.33. And that's all that I have for the general fund. For water, we have total of CDRs with the Bank of Oak Ridge, $499,244.59. Our checking account is $618,276.89. Our CRF Capital Reserve Fund is $50,014.11. The North Carolina Capital Management, is $522,495.61. And our regular savings is $45,045.74. Our accounts receivable for the water, including in arrears, is $28,813.98. I did want to let you guys know that on the budget versus actual on the water enterprise account, the transfer to the capital reserve, I have transferred the $21,250 over to the capital reserve fund. It's not showing on September because I did that just a few days ago. And I've also transferred the previous, so everything from the CRF, you'll see all that reflect in the next month on that account. And we have no more CDRs to renew in the general fund until 2022. And in the water account, we have two that will come due by the end of this year, and then we'll have a couple more next year in 22. I have submitted all the reports to Mr. Rouse to begin the audit. I submitted all of those on September 29th for both the general fund and the water enterprise. He and I have communicated through Jay, of course, and I think that we will probably get together next week. I've let him know my schedule, and he said that he would plan accordingly.
Is he coming into town hall or down at your office?
No, he'll come to town hall. I'm not sure because when I submitted everything to him, I submitted a lot to him where he could do a lot of it in his office. I was trying to help him out by having to go back and forth, and but I have a feeling, he'll have to come in anyway just to verify numbers and things like that. So I feel like that'll happen within the next week or two.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions to Kim? Next item on the agenda, citizens' comments from the floor. We have two people that signed up to speak. No, several. Mike Crawford.
Candidate for mayor. I'm overwhelmed, but I do greatly appreciate each and every one's support I look forward to being your next mayor. I'm ready to hit the ground running. Thank you all.
Okay. Next item, next person, Brian Magyar. Magyar.
How you doing?
Good.
If you'll give your name and address.
Sure, Brian Magyar, 8006 Dorset Downs Drive. I received a copy of the plan development at my front door a while ago. I took a look at it, and I saw a storm drainage pipe that came close to and perpendicular to my property line. And my concern is erosion. I'm not necessarily against the development, but I'm concerned about erosion at my property line. So I would like to hear from the developer what he plans to do there.
Okay. He's going to be addressing those issues in just a few minutes.
Okay. My second thing is, working for government, it's my understanding that no signs are permitted in the right-of-way. And it's, the time of political signs there. And unless something is different around here that I don't know about, that I find it interesting that politicians want our vote and they want us to believe they'll do the right thing, but I don't ever see their signs in the right spot.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
Yes, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, next item. Oh,
Back over there.
Yeah.
I didn't.
You don't have to have a card to
Come on
speak,
up.
do you? John?
I know we had several that it looked like they were about the rezoning, so I didn't call them.
Yeah, is appropriate time for that?
And not for rezoning yet. Wait till the cases are called.
Interesting, we done changed something there. I didn't know. Had to have a card to do citizens' comment.
Yeah. Okay, the next item, public hearings. First case up, conditional rezoning case 2108, STPL 07390. Property at 7709 North Carolina Highway 68. Request to go from agricultural and RS 30 to conditional use highway business. And this is where Darren Hooks wanted to make one correction on the, I guess, legal description or the description that we have in our folder. You want to address that?
If we could, under that zoning case, on the, just kind of a running paragraph all the way, running sentences. If you go to the second level where it says CZ-HB located on east side, that, that is incorrect. It's the west side of 68. And this is the blank lot at this point in time that we're talking about next to the tire place, correct?
The east side would be the Stewart's Golf Course, Dawn Acres itself.
Right.
So we just wanted to make that clarification so everybody realizes it's on the east side, I mean the west side rather than the east side.
Yeah.
Right beside Tire Max. And Oliver, I'll let you present the case.
Yes, sir. It is a property that's located, it's on the west side, did we say? On the west side of North Carolina, 68?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anytime you come up 68, you're northbound.
Approximately 622 feet north of its intersection with Haw River Road, Guilford County Tax Parcel 163-766, Stokesdale, North Carolina, approximately 1.12 acres. The proposed use condition is to use the lot exclusively for accessory parking to the adjacent business, which is Tire Max. There were no development conditions proposed, and the proposed sketch plan was enclosed with the application. The applicant is LMM Holdings, LLC. This is a conditional rezoning from HAG and RS30 to CZHB, which is highway commercial. Under the nature of the request, you just give you a general with the descriptions of the zoning districts, where it could be zoning from and where it's going to be, where it's rezoning to. It also described the intent of the conditional zoning district. The area, this property is in the area of transition from single-family residential and commercial. The existing use on the property is single-family. To the north, it's a single-family dwelling. Tarmax is located to the south. And just another correction, to the east, it's a single-family residence, and to the west, it's a manufactured home, which is a correction on the report that was in your staff report.
Okay. One question for you, Oliver. There are no, it's a conditional use zoning, but there are no conditions attached to it. Is that correct?
The only condition is the use will be exclusively for parking, accessory parking for Tarmax, for the adjacent business.
Okay.
One quick question, the size of that's just about the same size as the building itself, or the property itself with the existing building. Are there any types of runoff issues involved in that?
We're not at that stage in terms of, I mean, there's gonna have to be some stormwater management that has to occur on the site. But usually that's an issue that's addressed at site plan review stage.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this rezoning request, if you will come and give your name.
I apologize, I just wanted to submit the recommendation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this was submitted to the planning board at their last meeting. They did vote to recommend approval for the rezoning. Staff recommendation also recommended approval. With approval, there will need to be an amendment to the Stokesdale future land use plan to extend the non-residential zoning outside of the town court and PMC designation as shown on the future land use map to incorporate the parcel that's included in this rezoning.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Then I'll close the public portion of the hearing and the matter rests with council. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve case number 2108 STPL-07390, located at 7709 North Carolina Highway 68 North, to zoning district CZ, conditional use highway business. And this is based off the planning board's recommendation and the recommendation of the town planner, Oliver Bass.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second, Jim Rigsby.
Have a motion and a second. Is any discussion?
I just want to make one comment. Now, here's a situation where we got to make a map amendment. I know that's been a big thing that people have said, you know, the map. And this is another situation where we're making a map amendment, which is okay with me. I don't have a problem with it, but just when it comes up the next time, that's what Stokesdale's done for years, is rezoned and made map amendments for commercial, about all of it. So I just want to put that in the record.
Okay.
I don't have any problem with it. I'm just
Okay. Have a motion to approve in a second. Call the question. Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
And aye. Next item on the agenda, conditional rezoning case 2108, STPL 07589 8301 Angel Purdue Road. Property request to go from agricultural to conditional use zoning, plan development residential. Mr. Bass?
Yes, this property is located at the terminus of Angel Purdue Road, south of its intersection with Athens Drive. Guilford County tax parcel 164121, Stokesdale, North Carolina, approximately 152 acres, 152.68 acres. The proposed use condition for the site is that the uses shall be limited to single-family residential uses. The proposed development conditions is that the maximum number of single-family residential lots shall not exceed 140. And the application does include a sketch plan. This is a conditional zoning from AG to CZ PDR, which is a planned unit development residential. The sketch plan submitted with the application was reviewed by the Guilford County Technical Review Committee, and the TR's Technical Review Committee and a revised sketch plan are provided in your packet. The applicant owner is Angel Family Limited Partnership. If you can see in the district descriptions, they have described the purpose and intent of the agricultural district. It includes a purpose and intent statement for the Plant Unit Development District, which is to accommodate a variety of housing types developed on large tracts in accordance with a unified development plan. The PDR district also accommodates neighborhood business and office uses, which primarily serve nearby residents. You would note that the condition would not allow neighborhood business or office uses in that particular district if it's approved. The property is in a predominantly single-family residential area. The site is adjacent to multiple residential subdivisions. The existing site is undeveloped. Surrounding uses is mainly single-family subdivisions, undeveloped to the south, and large acreage residential properties. With regards to water and sewer to be on private septics, but they are proposing to connect to the town waters, which is available from Angel Pardue Road. Transportation, Angel Pardue Road is classified in your transportation thoroughfare plan as a local collector street. The traffic count for that street was not available. But the projected traffic count based on 140 single-family lots would be 1,400 vehicles per day. With regards to environmental assessment, streams and watershed, there are several streams that are mapped on the property. With regards to the Stokesdale future land use plan, is recommended for residential. The town vision and policy recommendations for the residential development area is provided below, which includes to maintain and preserve, maintain, and enhance the rural character, natural habitat, and beauty, with a sense of community through both formal and informal association. Residential development should enhance the community through appropriate neighborhood design, connectivity, environmental protection, sense of a vibrant community, and safe, convenient for all citizens. The policy recommendations for the residential area include minimum lot size of 40,000 square feet, increased natural buffers, plan for interconnected residential development through streets and trail links. It does state that it will eliminate the use of planned unit development, which is PDR outside the town core. With regards to consistency, the requested action is inconsistent with the recommendation for the residential area to eliminate the use of PDR zoning outside the town core. However, the PDR district is intended to allow design flexibility to protect environmental resources such as streams and waterways, which would be consistent with the vision for the residential area. Staff did recommend approval. The action is reasonable because although it is inconsistent with the policy recommendation for the residential future land use designation, the zoning is consistent with the PDR zoning of the adjacent parcels along Angel Pardue, which extends into the subject property. The PDR does allow flexible design standards to allow for protection of environmentally sensitive lands, and the proposed residential density will not exceed 1 dwelling unit per acre, with the provision of common open space. If approved, an amendment to the Stokesdale future land use plan to recognize this area as suitable for planned unit development within the residential designation would be required. I would state that it was presented to the planning board for a public hearing. It was voted to deny. It was recommended by the planning board to deny this request.
I have two questions for you, Oliver.
Yes, sir.
Under RPD, what is the minimum lot size?
Well, the minimum lot size, is 5,000 square feet based on the RS5.
Yeah, but that requires water and sewer, which we have no sewer.
Well, it does allow, it does not, there was a point that it did require public water and sewer, but the ordinance doesn't require it to have public water and sewer. And probably because a lot of times there's an open space that's used for outside septic. So it had to be designed, it had to have some type of sewer, but it doesn't mandate it to be public sewer. And because even though you can do 5, you have to sacrifice, they allow certain clusters and smaller lots in exchange for more open space. And so basically what the PDR does, it allows flexible design standards that may be different from the typical zoning, traditional zoning districts.
Okay. On an RS 5, I think the minimum lot size is 50 feet of frontage and 70 feet of depth. Is that correct?
That's for the yes, for the
RS.
so the PDR say the minimum lot size has to meet the RM5 standards, even though it's not RM5 zoning.
Okay. If they go down to like a 20,000 square foot lot, do they have to meet the minimum requirements of RS 20?
I'm sorry?
If they go down to a lot size of 20,000 square feet, do they have to meet the requirements of RS 20 zoning in terms of frontage, depth, setbacks, and those kinds of things?
It just depends on how it's structured within the Unified Development Plan. So basically, a PDR is a zoning district in and of itself, so they establish minimum lot size and dimensional requirements on the PUD.
Yeah, okay.
They can't go no less than what the standards of the RS5.
I guess one of my concerns, I'm looking at Stokesdale Development Ordinance, Section 4-2, and it talks about like RS 20, RS 15, RS 12, RS 9, 7, 5, and it says that all of those have to have public water and sewer. And so I'm a little bit in question of, can they go down to a 20,000 square foot lot without public sewer?
This is a PDR zoning that can establish minimum lot size. It can be anywhere from 40,000 square feet down to 5,000 square feet. So those provisions apply specifically to RS 20 and less subdivisions.
Okay, but it seems to me if you got to have public sewer for a RS 20, then if you do a PDR, you ought to have the same kind of requirements. It really bothers me that you could go down to a 5,000 square foot lot. Now, my second question, under the comments from planning comments, number 4, it says proposed changes in land use or increase in density will require new rezoning application. Now, he's capped this 150, I think it's 156 acres, whatever it was, at 140 lots. Right. And so you're showing the small lots and a lot of common area. Would that common area be dedicated to a homeowners association?
Yes, it would have to be dedicated to a homeowners association.
Okay, my real question is, let's say we approve this and they get 140 houses, whatever size lot, based on the ordinance. Can they come back in a year or 2 years and say, hey, listen, we want to increase the number of units on this property and do that with a rezoning request?
They would have, in order to increase the use or increase the density, they would have to change the use or increase the density, they would have to come back for another, they have to apply for a rezoning.
But it's theoretically possible they could come back and ask for another 100 units based on the fact that they've only utilized 40% of the property or something. Yeah, I mean, it'd be subject to the approval of the county. I mean, of the town of Stokesdale.
they cannot exceed the density, what's the density that they, cannot exceed it cannot exceed 140 units. And it's limited to single-family residential.
But your comment, as our planning director, basically said that, and I don't want to read that verbatim. Proposed changes in land use or increase in density will require new rezoning application. So it seems to me, reading that literally, that if they wanted to add more units, they could come back. It would just require another rezoning request.
They have to go through another rezoning request. It has to go through the planning board for a recommendation. It had to come before the town council, and they have to evaluate it based on the,
Okay.
based on their
Would
evaluation.
would that premise apply to any subdivision in Stokesdale, though? If you wanted to, I guess, increase the lot size?
No. If it's on RS-40 and they want to increase the number of lots, as long as they can comply with the ordinance, they can increase it.
Okay.
This is specific to planned unit developments. They say in their, the planned unit development is, they set the number of lot, they set the density they set the density, they set the land use, they set the dimensional requirements. Anything, they're proposing 140, if they want to do 141 lots, they have to come back for another rezoning.
Okay.
If it's a traditional subdivision, they may have to go back to the planning board to get approval for the subdivision, but they would not have to get it rezoned.
Okay, so one last thing, and I think you mentioned this, but I just wanted to get clarification on it. The unused portion of that, all the common areas, that would be deeded to a homeowners association, right?
Correct. Anything that's not within a lot, a residential lot, needs to be dedicated open space to the.
So if there was any future rezoning request, it would have to come in the name of the homeowners association rather than the owner of the property?
Yeah, once.
Because they would be the property owner of record, is that right?
They would be your property, but you also have the individual lots that be part of the ownership.
Sure, understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Real quickly. One phase and one phase only, or coming back, phase two? At all? If
Well, they can
come
have
back,
multiple, they can have multiple phases within the envelope of that lot.
But not to exceed tonight's figure, is that
Correct.
correct?
Yeah, they can develop in the phases, but once it's complete, they can have no more than 140.
Regardless of where they stay?
Regardless of how many phases they develop.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll open the public portion of the hearing. I had several people. Bill Greco, I'll probably start with you because you're the engineer of record.
There we go. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Bill Greco. I'm with Land Solutions. Our address is P.O. Box 347 in Oak Ridge. Speaking in favor of this proposal tonight, I'm joined by a number of members of our development and design team. All of us may or may not speak, but I think a number of us have signed up. With regards to this rezoning request, I'm going to try to start at the top and work my way through a few issues. Prior to our submittal to the planning board, we reached out to a number of our neighbors and adjoining property owners and hosted an open house here in this facility to get input and feedback from the folks that immediately adjoined us. Had some good questions, had some good interactions. We feel like that went very well. The planning board, we had more questions than anything else from citizens and adjoining property owners. So we're here before you this evening with a favorable recommendation from our planner. To Mr. Landra's point, the land use plan, we do constantly and continually bump up against the land use plan. Well, it's outdated, it's years and years old. And with regards to PDR being restricted to the town core, that's in conflict with itself. You have to have a minimum of 25 acres. I'm not aware personally of 25 acres of a vacant tract within the town core. So that's one of those issues in the land use plan that we make note of and hopefully move on beyond that. I would like to talk a little bit about our design for this subdivision. With the PDR, it does allow flexibility. That's the beautiful thing about it. We have used this zoning district successfully right here off of Angel Pardue in the Angels Glen subdivision that surrounds virtually two sides of this property is the Angels Glen subdivision. What it allows you to do is by conditioning it to a maximum number of lots, obviously we can't change that unless we start over. A sketch plan is required and is part of the rezoning. So this document remains on file with planning to ensure that our street network, our open space, all of that is honored and taken care of as we develop in phases, which we will certainly develop this in phases. Our lot sizes, what we have found in Stokesdale and particularly right in this area, is that our average lot sizes are generally right around the 20,000 square foot mark. That's what you see in Angels Glen. We do have a few areas designated here for off-site septic should we need that. All of the green, again, that open space becomes, when a phase is recorded, we record lots 1 through 10. Open space that is adjacent to or nearby or right out the back door, that's recorded along with that phase. So that's how our layout works for this sub. We do have a few streams. We have a stream that runs down, essentially this entire border here is a stream. We have a stream that runs along this border. What we're looking at here is the Pine Needles facility down this way. This is Dorset Downs here. There are a few vacant tracts here in this area. Angels Glen Homeowners Association owns a large piece here. That's part of their open space from when we did the PDR at Angels Glen, and then of course Town Hall right up here. One item that came out of TRC from DOT was this little section of Adano Road is not paved. What DOT has stated to us, and it's in writing somewhere in your packet, is if we will dedicate right-of-way, they will add that to the list that the mayor referenced earlier to be paved at some point in the future. So we're certainly amenable to dedicating that right-of-way. In terms of entrances, we have the entrance obviously off of Angel Pardue Road. We have a second entrance that goes back into the Angels Glen neighborhood. You see our cul-de-sacs and open space. The drainage easements that we have here are prescribed by the ordinance. So anywhere we have a feature, we have a drainage easement, and we have stayed away from those areas with our streets and our lots. Those will remain open space. I probably can't pronounce the gentleman's name properly, but the speaker earlier during speakers from the floor asked a question about erosion in his lot. His property is right here. We have no piping or anything of that nature or stormwater structures. It's just open space that backs up against him in a stream buffer. So we certainly don't anticipate any issues here. Backing up a little further in terms of connectivity, I do have one other. It's small, but just so everyone can see it.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Our ordinance and our land use plan emphasize the importance of interconnectivity in these neighborhoods. We certainly agree with that. From a design perspective, I've been working on this little corner of the world for going on about 15 years now. So we have the Blacksmith represented with the red lines, that's a proposal before you tonight. Tree line trails, if you look to the east, that subdivision is already approved, underway. The red streets that you see on there have not been constructed yet, but the heavy black line has. This design for the project before you this evening ties in well with the Angels Glen street network, and as you can see, there is an island there, future development. We have stubbed into that in 2 locations, both out of Angels Glen and out of the Tree Line Trail subdivision. So what you can see here is at some point in the future, there will be multiple access points into this entire area, not only to this property, but Angels Glen. There'll be, in the future, another outlet to Athens Road and an outlet to Eversfield Road as well, when this tax parcel 164-111 is developed at some point in the future. So we have accounted for a much larger street network and connectivity as this area continues to develop. With that said, the biggest issue that we have been faced with, I think we've got a fairly reasonable consensus from all of our meetings and interactions with everybody that the PDR is appropriate for this area. We have had good feedback from TLC in terms of our design and our connectivity. The one issue that has been brought up consistently is traffic. To that end, we have a member of our design team that we've been working with for a number of decades. Once traffic concerns get beyond the immediate subdivision and get a little broader, this gentleman and his firm is who we reach out to, currently working together on the storage facility on 68, certainly experienced in Stokesdale and in this area. So I would like to introduce Mr. John Davenport, of Davenport Engineering, and let him address that topic.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is John Davenport. I'm the president of Davenport Engineering. Our address is 119 Brookstown Avenue in Winston-Salem. Just want to cover a couple of points as it relates to traffic. I think that everyone is aware, and I want to try to make sure we address both of them. First, we'll talk about Angel Pardue itself. So this town hall is on Angel Pardue, so we drive on it, we're well aware of it. And this proposed subdivisions at the end of it. I went out personally and took a look at the facility. Give you a little bit of background. I worked for the North Carolina Department of Transportation for 10 years before I started this company. And I've been doing this, believe it or not, 20 years ago in January. So got a lot of experience in it. But I wanted to lay eyes on it myself. I actually ride bikes through there all the time, so please be careful if you see me out there. We're not trying to hold up traffic. Let us get through. But I'm very familiar with the area. Angel Pardue is sufficient in width to carry the traffic that's proposed here. One thing that I do recommend, and we're going to work with Bobby Norris about that, is to paint a double yellow on that roadway. When you add traffic, we want to make sure people on their side of the road, it's dark out there, and as we increase traffic out there, we want to make sure the folks are behaving safely. And putting a double yellow out there reflects back. It's going to enhance the nighttime visibility. And so we'll speak with the NCDOT about that, and then between us and them, that would be something if this project's approved that you can expect to see out there to enhance the safety. But further, as we move up towards the intersection of 158, obviously there's a school and there's a lot of traffic there. I will tell you that our firm conducted traffic analysis for that school for the North Carolina Department of Transportation back in August of 2020, matter of fact. So we actually worked on that project. We provided recommendations to the NCDOT and to the town and the school as to what needed to be done to address the conditions that are out there. I do have, in fact, a letter here that was written from the NCDOT folks in Raleigh to Bobby Norris, basically accepting the recommendations that we had made as it relates to that intersection. NCDOT is planning on doing those improvements, but they have not funded them yet. One of those improvements was to install a signal at 158 in Athens, so it's kind of two signals working together. And then the other piece was to provide turn lane between, Athens and 158 on Angel Part 2. When I looked at those recommendations, those are future, I spoke with, Mr. Combs and said, I understand that we're not, our project is not doing all the impact out there, but what is it that we could do to help mitigate the impact of our project? And so in coordination with him, what I'm recommending is that we do the remarking and provide the left turn lane with this project so that we can go ahead and enhance the flow. And then when NCDOT does install the signal, it's just going to make it even better. But we felt like that we could do that. The pavement's wide enough to do that at that intersection. It's already part of what was recommended. It will actually move that project along, take one step towards getting that ultimate solution done, but it will be done by another developer. So that's my recommendation at that intersection. It'll make it safer and allow traffic to flow better, not only for this project, but the school as well. So I'll pause and then just see if there's any questions.
Traffic light, traffic control device up here, correct? DOT, at the T.
At 158, yes.
Right here. The other side of the woods. Okay, and that's gonna be I guess, that'll be a 24/7 deal, regardless of the school flashing lights.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Are you willing to make that a condition of the rezoning that you will pay for the turn lane?
The restriping? Yes. Yes, sir.
And a turning lane.
Well, that's the turn lane when we do the restriping.
Now, when you're talking about turning lane up here,
Be a left turn lane.
it's gonna,
As you leave.
It'll allow people to turn left and turn right. Right now, you have to wait. There's only one lane, and so people can't get around. That causes traffic to back up. So if we provide a separate left and a right, it will allow folks that are going to turn right, they don't have to wait on that left turn.
On Angel Purdue.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And will make it easier for people to get out. And then when the signal comes, it just makes it even better.
One last question, Mr. Davenport. You said you worked for DOT for about 10 years. Talking about Adano Road, it's my understanding that one of the reasons that hasn't been paved already is one of the property owners refused to sign a right-of-way agreement. Do you have sufficient right-of-way to where that road could be paved? Or is there one side, if you have one property owner, could he preclude you from getting that road paved?
That happens. There are situations where if they can't get the right-of-way that's necessary, that they're not able to pave the road. I don't know exactly the property owner and the specifics of that particular building.
We can address that.
The section of right-of-way that was needing to be dedicated was this property that we're speaking about.
Could you bring that a little closer, Bill? I'm getting old. Thanks a lot.
So the section that needed to be dedicated was this piece right here.
Okay,
We dedicated right-of-way.
on the other side.
This same team on Angel's Glen, we've already dedicated it all the way out to here. So that side's great. We can certainly, and I've drawn it that way in anticipation of. And then these are one, two individual properties, but their property corners are already in position for the right-of-way. So I don't think there's any holdup remaining. I think it was just this property that was holding it up.
The short answer is, if that be the case, then that would allow them to go ahead and put it on for resurface.
Okay. My next question is, I know DOT puts things on and it takes 20 years to come to pass. What's your experience? Is that something they would get on, or is that something that could linger for years? That's a fair question.
I don't know where it is in the ranking. Obviously, they tried to pave it at some point if they ran into a roadblock. And so, I would be glad to speak with Mr. Norris, and we're talking to him about the double yellow and get some information and provide that to Bill and to council if possible.
Okay, because to me, that would be really important.
Yeah, I'd be glad to report.
Okay, are you through, Mr. Davenport?
Yes, sir, if there's no more.
Does anybody have any questions? Kevin, I got you down. Do you want to speak, or do you want somebody else first?
Just real fast, to give everybody an idea of what it's pretty much a continuation, subdivision design-wise, of what we've done in the existing land use plan, as far as lot size and type of homes and all that. So that's our main thing. And I want the council to know too, after our planning board meeting, and the concerns, and we try to take any concerns from the constituents or any opposition that we may have very seriously. We went to the Angel Family Limited Partnership to see if we could even acquire the access to go out to Highway 68. They said we were unable to at this point now. So we exhausted that, but we checked out and went down every rabbit hole that we could to figure out what options that we had. And we worked diligently with John here to come up with the best plan and with NCDOT to keep it as a neighborhood feel as we feel it should be. So, and not a cut through from 68. We are, feel like everything we have and plan here should be in harmony and protect the property values. And we're excited about the project. We hope y'all see it the same.
Okay. Ben Anthony?
Thank you. I have a question about the stream that I mentioned earlier. My property is right over here at the northeast corner, and this is a stream area over here. It's also listed as a septic drain field. Is there a conflict with those two situations?
Go ahead. I didn't understand your question, Mr. Anthony.
One thing, I think if that mic were to be working, I don't know if it needs batteries. I know it would be very helpful, especially for the folks watching online.
Batteries in it, but
We'll put some more in there.
Oh, did we put some new ones in there just now?
Okay.
Take it out.
Like,
Oh.
saying no battery.
Oh, we'll bring it.
Figure the warranty just.
Please.
My question was regarding this stream that exists over here currently, and it's part of their open spaces on their plan, and it's also listed as a septic drain field. So I was just wondering if there was some sort of conflict between those two situations.
I can address it right here. The drainage and stream buffer easement. Basically, everything in green is open space or outside of the drainage easement.
Speak into the mic, please.
You can't put a septic area inside a drainage easement. Period. Is it working now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that addresses my question, thank you.
Okay. Jonathan Few?
Jonathan Few, 8209 Barbello Drive. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. The planning board kind of heard this once already, as well as our developers. I'm glad y'all have a hotline of Mr. Bobby Norris. We've been trying to get a hold of him for a while. The Angel Family Trust said they were fine with giving the easement to have that road paved. Mr. Norris won't answer a phone call, email, nothing. So, you know, I'm glad. I hope it does get paid. For saying Angel Purdue road is sufficient for that amount of traffic, I disagree. Angel Purdue Road services two small neighborhoods, the town hall, the town park. Many people bike and walk and run on this road while traveling to the park. I have read that the average North Carolina home has 2 cars, an average of. This development is estimated to have 140 homes. That's 280 additional cars traveling Angel Purdue Road. I know we've heard that traffic is a much greater number. That's a pretty interesting figure, but I hear the state comes up with that. But that's still a lot of additional cars. Thinking about the number of homes that are in the area right now, kind of doubles it on a very, very small road that I was passing people on the road that were walking this evening on the way here. Also, during the construction of this neighborhood, this will become the only construction entrance for a very large development. Be a mix of heavy equipment and contractors' vehicles traveling the road. I would expect above additional wear and tear or above normal use. Also, based on that plan, from what we saw in the planning board, it's proposed 2 entrances and exits both end up on Angel Purdue Road. I know tonight we've heard of future expansion that would connect those. Those really aren't outlets. Those are just additional ways to put you into someone else's neighborhood. It really doesn't put you on a proper feeder street. I'm requesting that this development as a condition of rezoning from agricultural to add another road to be an entrance or exit that is connected to Highway 68. I think we've heard some discussion on that. That entrance, if created, should be the primary construction entrance and exit, as well as an alternate entrance and exit once a neighborhood is complete. There is property adjacent to this property in Highway 68 in which it could be accomplished. The first one is 7808 Highway 68 and is owned by the Angel Family Trust. Sounds like maybe not an option. The second option that I did see is 7774 Highway 68 and is owned by Duke Power. Duke also has an easement to the property being rezoned, so I don't know if there is some type of agreement that can be worked out with them that would help everyone. Thank you.
Okay. I should have let you speak when we have opposition, but we're okay. Robert Works.
This is in favor, so wait for it. My wife and I bought our lot, number 22 in Dorset Downs, 24 years ago. We loved the rural character, and we loved hearing Mr. Angel's cows mooing from across the stream. We always knew that it would be developed, and we dreaded the day that that would happen. Well, that happened just a few months ago when we heard that the subdivision was coming that was called the Blacksmith, and we wondered how our dreams of rural living would be hammered. Here's the good part. We took a look at the sketch maps and looked at the planned use and said to ourselves, well, if this piece of land is going to be developed, which we know it will be, this is the way to do it. It preserves a lot of green open space. It makes the highest and best use of this piece of property, which is the right of the owner to extract from it. And it makes sense from the fact that it's a difficult piece of land to develop with so much land in the floodway that when I look at what Mr. Combs and Land Solutions has done elsewhere in the neighborhood, and the fact that Mr. Combs lives here, and it's probably a good thing that you don't poop in your own living room, that we can trust that hopefully that this vision of the development of the old Angel Farm sticks to it. And if you guys continue along this line and keep with your vision of open space and ruralness, then I can say, it's okay to have it in my backyard. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Mr. Crawford?
I have no opposition to this. I really don't. My biggest concern is Jonathan's concern. That's Angel Purdue. You can't have 2 fire trucks coming at the same time down Angel Purdue. It's just not possible. The road is not wide enough. That road needs, and by the way, that road is up to DOT standard, but as Kevin well knows, that's only tar and gravel. it's not the same road that we have in Angel Purdue. By the way, I am the Homeowners Association president for Angels Glen, have been for about the last 9 years. If this happens and this becomes the primary entrance to all of that construction, that road will deteriorate in no time at all, just simply because of its construction. I disagree with Jonathan on connecting to 68. That, I'm afraid, is just going to make a pass-through. People will bypass that traffic light. I own a convenience store. It happens to be in Mount Airy, North Carolina. My biggest problem is it sits on a corner. So everybody just zooms through my parking lot just to miss a dead blame traffic light. I can see this happening. The other part of it is Adana. Jonathan very well knows, and John, you know too. We've been trying to get that road paved forever. And to your point, John, the state's not going to commit to it. If you guys want to do this, I think you ought to commit to having it paved. And I know, Kevin, you and I have had this conversation more than once. You tried to do this, and the state wouldn't let you do it. But if you've got the right-of-way, I think it's only a short section. Just pave that little section of the road. But you're going to have to widen Angel Purdue, and you're going to have to bring it up to a better standard. If you don't, we can't count on the state to come out here. All you have to do is go up Angel Purdue, and you can see all the little divots and the parts of the edges of the roads that are deteriorating. It's going to get much, much, much worse if you have this heavy traffic coming in for construction. But please, I am not in opposition. I am not in opposition to this development. But there need to be a few things that need to be taken care of so that you can have a good development. And my question to you, too, would be, are we talking about 75% brick, just like Angel's Glen?
Well, the architecture over the past years and supply and all that has changed. We don't know.
Yeah. That's not part of a rezoning request. That's something that.
Oh, I understand. Just an inquiry. I know Eastwood is not. I just was curious if that's what you were if that's what you had in mind. Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? And Bill, I'll give you a rebuttal. Or Mr. Nadeau, go ahead. I'll let you speak first, and then we'll have a rebuttal period.
My name is Mark Nadell, 8211 Wendy Gale Drive in Stokesdale. I'm a member of the planning board, and we made our decision, as you can see how it came about. One of the concerns I have is that there's a number of concerns, and as Michael mentioned, I've seen in my own street where they're building 2 new houses and the road has completely come apart, okay? I'm concerned about that. What I'm really concerned about is traffic studies. As this gentleman talked about, the DOT did a study about the school. If I'm correct, you did mention the study was done in August. I think the schools are closed in August, so I'm not sure what kind of traffic goes on there. I can tell you, over the last 2 months, I have stood at that corner of Angel Purdue and 158. I've stood there with the sheriff, some of the deputies, and witnessed nearly severe accidents happen. I get it. They're going to talk about putting traffic lights up and widening the lane and doing that. I've been living in Stokesdale now going to be 4.5 years, and I'm still waiting for them to repave our road, which we put together a request in 2017. I don't have a problem with the development. I have a problem with the potential traffic coming into this neighborhood. Michael mentioned the fire trucks. God forbid, and we had a situation on Blues Creek Road about a month ago, John, right where you lived, okay? Truck detoured. They shut the road down 3 days. What a fiasco that was. There's no access here. My feeling with the law states that or the regulation state that you need to be 2 entrances to a development, a large development. The way this program has been put together, this plan, as far as I'm concerned, it's a workaround. They stuck the second entrance in, okay, because that's technically a different development from the old development, so it technically is an entrance. But the bottom line is, everybody's gonna run down this road. You can put a double line on here, you can put speed bumps on this road, you can do whatever you wanna do. Nobody is gonna pay attention to it. You've got children out here riding bicycles, you've got children playing. I'm all in favor of doing this if the council is willing to bring the fire department in, bring the police, the sheriff's office in, and get input from them on what kind of security, what kind of safety issues that might cause them. And I'm asking the council to table the decision on the vote till they get input from those people, because if the fire chief and the sheriff say this is not going to be an issue, then I'm comfortable with safety issues here. But I really believe that's something that needs to be looked at. The fire service needs to get in here, and if there's only one entrance in here, we could have a real serious problem if there's a major issue. I'm all about the property rights, and I don't have any problem with somebody selling it. The reason nobody wants to buy that access to 68, let's be realistic here. This development, okay, is all about making money, okay? Develop real estate, sells the property, they make money, they build houses, the housing develop. There's all money involved in this. If you're gonna spend millions of dollars on this development, or whatever that number's gonna be, make the right kind of offer to make Mr. Perdue, or Mr. Angel, whatever it is, sell that property. Because there's always a deal that somebody can turn around and say, you know what, I'll take that, sell you that property, make it a reasonable offer.
We can't consider other properties tonight. The rezoning is for this particular property.
I'm asking that the conditions of safety be addressed, and I don't feel we have addressed those issues from the officials that are involved in the day-to-day public safety in this community, and I'm concerned about that. Thank you.
Bill Greco, do you want to rebut what you've heard?
Bill Greco, P.O. Box 347, Oak Ridge. One thing that I would like to do, this is conditional use. Conditions are offered by the applicant. We would offer, and if somebody can correct me on the verbiage if I get it wrong, we would offer an additional development condition, Mr. Bass, that the developer would be responsible for new striping from the intersection of Highway 158 and Angel Pardue south to the intersection of Angel Pardue and Adano Road per NCDOT's specifications. We would add that as a development condition.
Plus you were adding the turn lane.
It's the same, yeah, same thing.
No, that's striping's one thing. Paving a turn lane is a
But the width is already there. There's already enough asphalt there. It needs striped.
You're saying up here there's enough for a turn lane now without any additional pavement?
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Explain that, exactly what turn lane you're talking about, if there are gonna be lights. Because some people probably are trying to think where those lights are gonna be and where that turn lane's gonna be on a two-lane road up there. If you're talking about the T, is that what you're referring to?
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, somebody.
So,
Let's go from here. You and I are pulling out the front, we're taking a left.
Yeah,
Pick it up and
between
run
Athens
with it.
and 158.
Yes, sir.
So those two roads are really close together, right? That's part of the challenge, right?
Bump, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that section of road between there of Angel Pardue is about 50 feet wide.
The basic median of those two, right?
The road is.
158 and Athens Road.
Yeah,
We're talking
between
about that
those two
Greenway,
intersections.
we'll call
And right now, it's not striped to accommodate someone who wants to make a separate left to go westbound on 158 and a right to go eastbound. So if I pull up there and you're behind me,
Yeah.
and there's traffic coming, and I want to make a left turn, you're going to have to wait on me to get out of the way before you can make your right turn.
East.
That's correct.
Okay.
And so what we're saying, what was recommended and DOT has already agreed to, is to reconfigure that so that when I make a left turn, you can be beside me and make a right turn. And therefore, it frees up the intersection so that I'm not holding you up if you want to make a right
You'd be
turn.
hit before I was, in
That's
other
right.
words, basically.
That's what we're saying. Yes, sir.
And that has to do with the light, the traffic control
That helps the
device.
traffic flow better so that we're not stacking folks up. We got 2 ways to go instead of 1 at that intersection. And then when the light comes, then it actually is going to help with the school dismissing and all that and do what the officer would do, which allows people to have the gaps to come in and out.
On and on.
Yes, sir.
Can I address that as well? I've seen that study. I think there was some discussion at one time about closing off that intersection because the problem is in the morning when they come down and they line up on 158 and they take that right, they would like for them to go on down all the way to the car wash and come back up. Are you familiar with that part of the?
Yeah, that was considered, but this is what the final recommendation was.
Because I get what you're talking about. You're talking about in the afternoons, you know, when people are leaving and they're leaving.
After you've dropped off the kids,
but I'm
or
talking
picking them up, either way.
Some of the concern is it blocks that T. I know that's not really y'all's responsibility. That's people that's blocking the intersection. But at some point in the morning, that intersection could be blocked by people sitting, waiting to get into the school.
Right.
So,
there are things that the school needs to do and
Absolutely.
DOT needs to do aside from this project. But what I was speaking to is when talking with Mr. Combs and Angel Pardue, which is where that's the vast concern of the folks that have opposition, that what we are recommending is go ahead and do that part of it now and not wait on the state. And what Mr. Combs has agreed to just now recent is not only to do that, but to go ahead and put the striping in down to, what's the name of the road again? Dono, that's right. All the way down. I understand when folks, as far as adding traffic, there's always concerns on the road. When it comes down to construction traffic, I mean, anything you build down there you're gonna have to have construction traffic. Ultimately, it's Bobby Norris has to be responsible for maintaining that road. Developers don't maintain the road. This facility we're sitting in right now was built on the road, right? And so obviously it was sufficient for this project here, so go ahead, yes, sir.
Real quick question, being DOT, we don't have a stripe down the middle of this road.
Right.
Is this the minimal width, or is it legitimate width at this point, DOT, North Carolina?
Well, it's wide enough, yeah, it's 20 feet wide.
20 feet, so that's 210s.
Or 19, 20, something like that. Yeah. I mean, there are roads in North Carolina that are paved that are 18 feet wide.
Okay, my only.
This is not one of them.
Okay, my only concern about that part, from this exit up where the woods are, is not that big a to-do. Kids coming in and out of here, and they go straight down the center of the road on their bicycles to all these developments. There's no sidewalk. That's something that I feel is, and Mr. Nadell worked in law enforcement in New York, and I worked in Greensboro. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm concerned about. The rest of it, it's going to be, it's an enterprise that people are going to have a place to live.
Right.
Have no problem with that.
Well, and that's why when I say putting a double yellow in, typically you don't put a double yellow in on a road that's a no outlet because it does, most people think about double yellow, the road goes somewhere. However, in this case, because of my experience in studying safety in neighborhoods, what we want to do is to create, because there will be new people coming into the neighborhood when we build this, right? And there'll be more, FedEx trucks and all that. We want to make sure that those folks respect the road they drive on the side that they need to drive on. And what that does, and you may have heard this term, it's called traffic calming. You actually have to, mentally the lane feels narrower. You have a double yellow, you're going to drive a bit slower. Is there going to be someone that's going to ignore it? Yeah, I mean, there are people that ignore the speed limit on 68, right? I mean, we can't design for that. Law enforcement, you understand, that's why you guys are, you do what you have to do. But for those that respect the traffic control devices that we put out there, this double yellow creates a narrower lane so that people don't feel like they can drive as fast. Right now, it's a 19.5-foot wide road. You can drive right down the middle of it, just like you said, and it feels fine. Because a typical lane on an interstate is 12 feet wide. So if it feels like it's 19.5 feet wide, I'll drive. But if it feels like it's 9.5 feet wide, that's narrower than an interstate lane. And you're gonna feel a little bit more confined. And you might actually have a car coming the other direction, so you're gonna drive, our desire is that you drive slower. Now, the next step would be if we need to put a speed limit on it, and that could be done as well.
And it could very well be, and that really is a strike of a pen after a traffic study.
Yeah, and that could be done. We can't do that as developers, but that could be done. And I think if you put 25 out there, I don't think that would be unreasonable.
Well, I don't either. The biggest concern I have from this outlet on this side of our building all the way down, where people are gonna be on bicycles if you got a 2-lane with the double yellow line down the center and there's nothing but ditches. That's the only thing I'm trying to and this isn't against anybody developing. It's just the topography of a farm road.
Right.
Old farm road that had pavement put on it.
And
we've used it up to this point, but if you put that many people in, or any more people, as it grows, you're gonna have a lot more kids down there coming and going into this park and things of that nature, because we see them now, they come back and forth all the time. And I'm trying to come up with a way which would not put a pedaling pedestrian child in a situation where 2 cars passed and that was the end of it.
Right, well.
I had that happen growing up in Raleigh in front of our house. And
What is the folks on 68 and Dorset Downs and all those other developments?
Yeah.
They ride to the park on the bicycle, they don't have a sidewalk.
Even if we had a sidewalk, they wouldn't be bikes are not allowed on sidewalk.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm just being honest, they're supposed to be on the road. They have a right of way on the road to ride a bicycle, as much as you disagree. They do have that right by state law, and I think our only option there would be some sort of bike path.
Well, that's what I'm
path,
trying to think. I understand, and I'm not against the riding of the bicycle, because that's a vehicle. It's just not a motorized vehicle under the terms. What I'm trying to do is think ahead of time, like we think about taking one-way fire trucks into one area without a turnaround type deal that's wide enough to put 2 engine companies in the same fire, things of that nature, or less than 800 feet between hydrants, all those different things. And that's the biggest concern I have, because we have kids here constantly in and out 7 days a week, back and forth on bicycles. And I don't know what a solution is for a 9-year-old to get on a bicycle when mom and dad will be home from work in 20 minutes and off they come, and next thing you know, there's an issue. And like I said, growing up, I saw it and I really lost that sight.
I don't think that's their problem. Mr. Davenport, I have one last question for you.
Yes.
You made reference, I think you did a study for the school or DOT back in 2020.
Yes, and the August date is when it was concluded.
Okay.
Obviously, we had to conduct it when school was
Mr. Rigsby and I
successful.
met with a principal and a couple of people from Guilford County. And we talked about the issues up there, stacking. There were about 350 parents that bring their kids in rather than ride buses. And so they can't wind them enough area, so people are, backing up on 158. I know that's not your problem. That's DOT, and we need to get some funding, and the commissioner's involved in this. But Guilford County Board of Education said there's no money available. They didn't have any money to do anything, so we don't have one penny. So I just wondered, did your study go beyond the issue of stacking, or did y'all have any definitive recommendations on what we could do on 158 in terms of maybe a turn lane going eastbound?
Yeah, there are, and I can share this letter with you if you like. This is the funding letter that came from Bobby Norris.
Why don't you tell us what it is so everybody...
Okay, get back to the mic.
So the letter he's reading is a result of the study that we concluded. And basically, there's a group in Raleigh that actually is part of NCDOT, but their focus is schools. And so when they reviewed this study, and y'all have a copy of it, but this is the study, these are the recommendations that they said, here's what should be funded by the state. And so those improvements listed are the ones that are slated to be funded by the state. And if you look at the last one on there, that's the one that Mr. Combs is going to go ahead and do as a condition.
Okay. Anyone else wish, or any questions for Mr. Davenport? Mr. Greco, you want to speak again?
Just to finish.
Road and the school driveway.
Just to finish out a few thoughts, and with rebuttal, in terms of making sure that we address in a proper manner things that are relevant and germane to a zoning case, I feel like collectively as a group we've done a good job with that this evening. Couple of comments are troubling given that they're coming from a member of the planning board. Fire and safety. As part of Guilford County's TRC, which is the Technical Review Committee, the fire marshal is represented in those meetings and has input and has impact and certainly is, quite frankly, very vocal. I'm sure Mr. Bass can attest to that. So fire is very much involved in all these plans and all these reviews, and it is part of the process. I don't know if we're just not aware of that in Stokesdale or what, but they give that a very, very serious look. In terms of the Angel Pardue safety issues, I think, again, we all need to recognize our limitations. We have a system in place. We certainly have law enforcement in place. I think one action that collectively as a community, particularly the Angel Pardue Road community, including Town Hall and this leadership with us tonight, we can request a speed limit reduction. We have the president of the Angels Glen HOA present. We have council. That would be a good request. Get the speed limit down, and then certainly we're all capable of calling the sheriff's department to deal with trouble, repeat offenders on speed and so forth and so on. So in conclusion, I do believe we have presented this evening a very solid, very well thought out plan, supporting documentation, addressing the issues that have come up throughout the process, and we hope to receive a favorable vote this evening from council on this application, and we certainly appreciate your time and service.
Okay.
Bill, I've got a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
I see the term driveway permit. I'll be honest, I don't know what that really means in the development. Can you explain what that means?
I certainly can. A driveway permit is something that NCDOT, when you propose a subdivision, you have to get a permit from DOT. I don't know why they call it a driveway permit. It's a little goofy. It should be a subdivision entrance permit. But they, DOT being they come out and they look at things like curvature of the road. They look at, both horizontal curves and line of sight. And they look at, we have to put on the ground, this is where our proposed entrance to this subdivision is proposed to be located.
Okay.
So DOT, when they come out and conduct their field investigation, they then go back to the office and create a list of requirements. That list, in certain instances, is nothing more than a tapered entrance, which they have a standard where the road actually widens just a little bit and tapers. They may come back in the case of the storage facility on 68 that we had in recent months. They immediately said we need a deceleration lane, a turn lane, that sort of thing. So DOT, when they talk about a commercial driveway permit required, again, this goes back to the safety concerns. They are part of TRC, which is what the town pays for. So DOT's present in the room, they comment on the plan, they look at the submissions, and then when they say you're required to get this driveway permit, that's what that means. So whatever they come back with becomes part and parcel of our application, and Mr. Bass, in his capacity, makes sure that their recommendations and requirements are met as we go forward to the preliminary plat stage, is where you would
Okay.
Piggyback on that, DOT does do a final inspection of anything that they permit to make sure it complies with their requirements. And I do want to add, I just want to make sure that NCDOT, do they have a process in terms of approving the striping that will be permitted on a DOT road?
That's a John question.
Yes, we would have to provide a plan to show them, how the striping would be, and then they would approve it under the driveway permit. And the other piece that you didn't mention that they also have is what's called an encroachment permit. So because we would be going out and putting markings on the roadway, then they have a requirement that there are things that they expect us to do to take care of the state property. And then if we don't follow those things, then, and that includes if we go out there and damage it, right? So if we damaged it, they're going to expect us to fix it. So that's all covered under the encroachment permit. So there are layers of things that DOT puts in place to address a lot of the concerns that you have just by the way that they handle approving a project like this. So one's the driveway permit, and then two, because we're going to be getting in the roadways, it's an encroachment permit. We have to get permission to do any changes on their roadway.
Okay. If no one else wishes to speak, I'll close the public portion of this hearing and the matter rests with council.
You want a motion, or we're gonna discuss before the motion?
Yeah, let's get a motion and then we need to open it up to discussion.
I'd be willing to make a motion, but it probably will take a few minutes to get it together. I don't see, as far as Adano Drive, I don't know why anybody from this new development would ever go over there unless the road got blocked, which it would be nice to get it paved. But it's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna add to the problem they already have on that part of the road. If I'm wrong, then, I'm just looking at the map.
Someone want to make a motion so we can get it open for discussion?
No, I don't, I'm not ready to make a motion yet, but we can have discussion. If Jimmy wants to make a motion.
Yeah, well, I will. I just want to make sure I've got my ducks in a row, because it's gonna be probably a complicated motion. So they're gonna dedicate the right-of-way for Adano. That's part of the conditions. You gonna do it
It's just
double?
what they have, Jimmy. They can't dedicate it for the one property owner who has in the past refused.
Well, if you make it part of the, if what now?
After we own the property, we can dedicate the right of way. If it doesn't get rezoned, we don't own the property.
Right. But if we rezone it, you've got enough property there to dedicate enough for the road.
Absolutely.
That's,
Just so everybody understands, it's not
Yep.
our property to give as of today.
yeah, I understand. But it'll be part of the conditions.
Yes, sir.
So if you don't get the right-of-way done, then you don't have the zoning, is what I'm saying.
Well, we've already told Bobby Norris that we would.
As long as that's part of the conditions. I mean,
Yes,
that's all I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're gonna do the new striping for DOT from 158 to Adano Road.
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
And that is the condition that is not for DOT. That would be a commitment that I'm making to you, the board.
Right. Well, I mean, it would be a condition of it, so you'd have to do it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
The other thing, the Adano is a condition that we did with DOT.
Right.
Adano Road right-of-way dedication is not part of the zoning conditions currently before you. The right-of-way dedication is part of the preliminary plat process, is something that Mr. Mass will be responsible for shepherding. We are certainly amenable to adding a zoning condition that would state any right-of-way dedication necessary
for
Adano Road shall be granted by the developer.
That and the striping for Angel.
I mean, I think that'd be a good thing, because that seems to be,
I agree, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
We already have that deal with DOT before we even
right.
came to
Right, I mean, I just see it's a concern, if that's okay, I mean,
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
We can make that a zone condition along with the striping.
right,
From 158, including the turning lanes and the double yellow line.
right. And you still gotta go through the plat process, right?
Yes, sir.
So this plat is this plat firm, what,
It's conceptual.
This is conceptual, they hadn't submitted a preliminary plat.
It has no real,
All those approvals would have to be complete prior to recording the final plat.
they would-
and being
It's
able
not
to sell the
binding.
lot.
yeah. But they'd still have to come in for the second entrance like it is, which I don't think will be used, but, because it, I mean, you know, unless somebody just wants to ride around town, you know.
Unified Development Plan is binding as part of your zoning. I
Right.
can't change a road, I can't move open space around, that is a binding document that is part of a conditional use PDR zoning request.
Right, is that correct, Mr.
That's
Bass?
correct, it'll be recorded in the Register of Deeds as a matter of public record.
All right, I'm not questioning you, I'm just wanting him to verify it's all.
He could make some adjustments.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, okay. Well, I'm gonna make a motion to approve, but like I said, it's gonna be complicated. You wanna take 5 minutes?
Be nice.
It's up to y'all, I don't care. I mean, I'll sit here, y'all watch me,
let's take a 5-minute recess.
y'all watch me do this.
I don't think it's proper to take a recess right now. Stay right here and not talk to anybody. Hey, I don't think it's proper to talk about this outside right now. I think it's proper to discuss this during recess. Okay, as long as you can talk about anything else but this case. Okay.
Wait, manager. Been doing it.
Talk about what a nice day it was today.
If approval,
Come in here if you want.
I'm fine.
I bet there's something in there. I bet there's some crack in there. I'm getting ready to go see.
They offer to do.
Derek, come on down here and help me out a minute. Well, you think it's not?
I'll help you out. I have an issue with taking a recess in the middle of this case. I don't think it's proper, because I think it gives people time to discuss it outside.
Well, I couldn't have him going to sit here, so I mean, I wasn't thinking, so.
You didn't come over here and burp again, are you? With your Coke in your hand. Well, I'm glad you got a mask on. Now I finally figured out why the mask mandate is successful. For people like her.
I made a big one. That's what I do. I did not account when I went to move the FY 19-21.
CRF?
We had, yes, I forgot we had to move that refrigerator. So I moved this much, as you see right here. And then I was like,
Everything's fixable.
so then I went back. Oh, because I made this is what we were supposed to have in here.
Right there.
So when I made my notes, transferred it back. So I just want to let you know, if you see any of that.
I'm good with anything as long as it's proper. If it has to do with last year's audit, just keep Rex informed.
I will, but I was like, because I had to think about people that I was gonna start the account up with. So, and this is what, I went ahead and moved that.
They basically
I ain't going to prison over that.
They basically eliminated the whole census year.
You go to prison.
I'm just but I need you to sign it, Jim.
I'm gonna need recess on that.
I just need to change it over.
They'll let let you know when they decide.
What's your question?
They've been talking about that since 26.
And I realized, you can even look at the times when I did it. I mean, I did it and I was like, oh my God.
Appreciate it. Definitely hit me if you ever need anything or have a question. I'm always around.
My wingman will tell
Spend 20 minutes with you.
I hear you.
Oh, I can't.
They give you some
Can't
time to get
discuss
your
it.
affairs in order.
No,
I bet you
no,
they,
no,
you
no,
to
not
the
right
tax
now.
season to get your
No.
financials in
It would
order.
be improper. It'd be improper. I'm sorry. It would be improper for me to discuss it with anybody, because we've already,
You're on the right track.
yeah.
job right here that I do.
I mean, it can be amended and stuff.
All the main courses. It was a woman, Illinois.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And she was everything across the board.
This is built and open, there's a temporary permit on there right now.
Yeah, I was at the,
Anyway.
That's where you go up the hill.
well, it's
First of all.
So then,
I can't discuss the case during recess. Okay. Doing good. I'm just thinking.
we got roads built without signs. They're already
This is a Sunday.
What if you need counsel?
Say that again.
Both sides of that.
My, my position is during a recess, I'm not gonna discuss this particular case, council or citizen. Because it's recess. When we open it back up, it's fair, open season. Yeah. If you've got something to say and John calls on you, right now, it's a matter of council. But
John, just whenever you're ready, I'm gonna try to throw something together here.
parliamentary procedure.
I retired, well, I started burning time
Whatever motions I make, we
speaking of
can-
April, from the end of
This is
April
just
till
a
the time I
discussion,
took
right?
this job.
I mean, whatever I
September
make, we can
27th.
add or
I can
subtract
honestly
to.
say I only watched one TV show.
But you get a second.
From the time my wife.
I'm just trying to put it to the floor for discussion.
Okay, let's
Play on the
reconvene.
dog.
It's getting late. Let's try to speed this up. Okay, do we have a motion so we can get it open on the floor for discussion?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve it, and I'm gonna use the staff recommendation. The action is reached. I'm gonna make a motion to approve. I'm gonna make a motion to approve major subdivision case number 21-09-STPL-07827. The action reasonable because inconsistent with the policy. Recommendation of residential future land use designation zone is consistent with the PDR zoning. Adjacent parcels along Angel Purdue Road, which extends into the subject property, with the conditions that they will dedicate a right-of-way on Edano Road. They'll do a double turning lane at 158 and Angel Purdue. And they'll do the new striping per DOT standards from 158 to Edano. Did I leave any conditions out, Mr. Bass, that was supposed to be there?
But also you want to include the condition that was submitted with the application.
Oh, yes, and include all conditions submitted with the application. Do I need to go back in there and?
Oh, well, just the weather consistency. Now, there was some provision in the future land use plan that said PDRs would not be. So you may want to just make some kind of a recommendation amending that part that would accommodate whatever decision that you make.
Okay. Now, Jimmy, just for clarification, I want to make sure you understand what they're saying. They're not going to add any additional pavement at Angel Purdue and 158. They're just going to stripe that and show a turn lane, a right turn and a left turn.
All right, well,
They say the road's wide enough. now.
Yeah, that's what the engineer said, and he's supposedly.
Yeah, I just want to make sure
He's
you
supposedly
understood.
an expert. I mean, I assume he said he was, so. you know, and, so, that's the motion. We can amend it some if we need to in our discussion, if you want. I mean,
Okay.
I'll be up for something on.
We have a motion.
You know.
Is there a second?
on
Jim
adding to
Rigsby
it.
will second it.
Okay, now it's open for discussion.
I'll launch into it. I'm gonna fumble over my words here. Sometimes that's what I do best, but I've been thinking about this one. Obviously, before tonight, a lot of good points were brought up tonight. I understand the neighbors' concerns. I also live in the same subdivision, live right next door, drive the road every day. The concerns are valid. I also think the project itself it fits well into the nearby community, and overall, I believe it fits well into Stokesdale. I guess, as I was listening to folks speak, and I kind of thought about where I grew up personally. I grew up, I called it Summerfield, but it was annexed into Greensboro, so right now it has a Greensboro address. But I don't know if y'all are familiar with it, but it's Owls Roost Road off of 220, where Burr Mill is. We were probably, I don't know, we moved out there when I was 5 years old. We were probably the 80th or so house out there. There wasn't a lot of subdivisions at the time. And if I'm not mistaken, and I very well could be, but I think Owl's Roost at the time was an old tar and gravel road. It was nice and peaceful and quiet, but there was a lot of open farmland out there, and you kind of knew what was going to happen one day down the road when the farmers were ready to sell their land. Of course, that wasn't something I was thinking about when I was 5 and 10 years old, but the point stands. Owl's Roost Road is a unique road because it's right off Highway 220. And the way Lake Brant kind of surrounds this road, where Owl's Roost Road is a peninsula, or it's kind of in a peninsula. So I say that because it kind of has to do with what we're discussing tonight. It's one way in, and it was one way out. And y'all are familiar with Burr Mill Club, that's out there. Well, when I was growing up out there, that was a private club for Burlington Industries. That wasn't a private park yet. I remember, when I was 10 or 11 years old, that became a public park. I was thrilled to see it near my house. Of course, I remember my parents and neighbors. I remember overhearing them talking about traffic concerns and all that. And the park did bring a lot more traffic to the area. And, it did make it an inconvenience at times when my parents were pulling left or right out of 220. Up until the time my parents moved when I was 18, there was never a traffic light on Highway 220. But after that time, the Caldwells sold their farm. Mr. Monroe sold their farm. There was some land owned by Davidson College around there. They sold their farm, and there was probably 400 houses built in addition to the houses that were already there. At that time, the DOT finally had the data that they needed, and they acted, and they added that traffic light and turn lane onto Highway 220. I don't know if that was done before the development or after the development. The DOT does seem rather reactive. So it was probably done after. And look, I only say this because I see the commonalities in this case. The one way in, the one way out. That was my Owls Roost Road. The developments that came on and added traffic, and that's what we're seeing now. Then I look at this piece of property itself, and the gentleman is correct. The property owner does own adjacent property to Highway 68. I look at that as, could that be a potential use to access this neighborhood? And it's not before us tonight, but, conceivably could have been. Mr. Combs, addressed that. At the same time, if that were to be the case, anybody that would be accessing our neighborhood, the town park, tree line trails, Northwest Meadows, probably all the way, I'm looking at a map here, all the way over to Old Moore's Mill or Moore's Mill, would likely be using that as a cut through, and they would be driving down that same Angel Pardue Road. So I would not be excited about an entrance to this development off 68. When I look at the best use for this land, I mean, the sentimental side to me, would like to see it remain a farm forever. It's been a farm for centuries. I wish I had the money to buy it. I don't. So the property owner, it's time for them to sell. And I personally think the next best use is single-family residential development. You ask yourself, what could the alternatives be to the single-family residential development if this were not to pass tonight? I don't know what they could be, but because there is access off Highway 68, theoretically, I mean, it could be, one may say, this is a stretch for me to say this, but theoretically, it could be a large retail box store in front of us tonight. Mr. Combs and his partners are the second developers to pursue this piece of property. There was another guy, I don't know who it was, but I do know there was somebody else that pursued this and had a very similar project, same zoning it looked like. And for whatever reason, I guess the economics didn't work, so here we have Mr. Combs and his team in front of us. But what that tells me is that these property owners are actively pursuing the sale of their property. If it's not going to be used for single-family housing, it's going to be used for something. And that's where I get worried. You think about the what-ifs. I get worried that it could be a large commercial box store piece of property that would not be ideal to, I think, the neighbors, not to me as somebody that lives near there. So you think, all council's got to do is vote that down. If that were to happen, and yeah, we could do that. Somehow, I think over the last 30 or 40 years, these large retail box stores have found a way around small towns voting them down. I don't know how they do it. You can probably figure it out, but I don't know exactly how it's done. But so that is a concern of mine with this piece of property. It's 155 acres. If you look at the GIS and land, I mean, daggum, it's one of the largest pieces of property in Stokesdale entirely. And I do think single-family homes are the next best use if it can't stay a farm, and it's not going to stay a farm forever. I'm still a little bit torn about the width on Angel Pardue. It's a valid point. I mean, guys, the road's narrow. What defines narrow, though? You said you went and looked at it. Did you say it was 20 feet?
Yes.
Did you measure it?
Yes, our engineers have measured that road when we studied it for the school.
So it's 20 feet. So if you look at the town's ordinances in rural areas for collector roads, which that's what this is, 20 feet is the minimum. So this road does meet the minimum. I can understand. I drive it every day. It is narrow. I don't know if a yellow line's going to help. I mean, the yellow line's not going to fix the daggum potholes on the side of the road, I can tell you that. But, I don't know if that's y'all's problem or the Department of Transportation's problem. I don't know. Tough choice. I'll be honest. I did want to share my thoughts. Those are my thoughts.
If I can speak. A lot of things we've heard tonight, like Mr. Ford just said, you know, we don't know if it's your responsibility or somebody else's, and that somebody else's is the county and the state. And, you know, I'm not, you know, my wife goes into Stokesdale Elementary every day, and I see the traffic problems out there. But, you know, at what point do we as a community or we as private citizens keep paying taxes to these entities that are not pulling their share? My son plays travel across all over the state, and we go to Wake County, we go to Mecklenburg, and every school has long driveways, and every school has upgraded facilities to AstroTurf. And we go to Guilford County schools. He's playing right now at Ragsdale. There's not a bit of AstroTurf in Guilford County. There's not a bit of new building in Guilford County, and it only falls back to the county and the school system. I just don't know that we, as a town, should continue to play the what-if game, because we don't have any hope of that either one of those entities is going to come down the road and fix anything. They haven't shown us any progress yet. I look at the map that was provided, and I asked myself if that farm had been a part of the original Angels Purdue plat, would it have been approved all at one time? You know, as opposed to coming in here as a secondary request. And I can't help but to think that it probably would have been, you know, if you'd come in here and that had been another phase of that original plan. My problem with going out to NC 68 is that's a hard left turn off NC 68 as close as it is to that intersection right there. And I'm not even sure that DOT would approve that. Trying to make a left turn right there that close to the, you know, a major intersection. So I agree. I don't know that that's a real viable option, even if that land was available. Because not many people, I'd say 75% of the people would come out and take a left to go back into Greensboro or somewhere. So as much as I would want to play the what-if game, I have to kind of, look at what's now. And, you know, we're not looking at that 1,400 number on expected travel or expected cars. I don't see how they come up with that either, because if you take 140 houses, and we're talking about probably a 1 to 5 year period of build out, I can't imagine you're going to build that and sell that in the next 60 days. So you know, like we're at 5 years now, and we're not even close to 140 houses. So, you know, a lot can happen in the next 5 years with developments and stuff like that, and road repairs. I just, you know, I understand the concerns, but I think, you know, it's a lot of what ifs, and we kind of have to, you know, act in the best interest of our citizens and our town. And it's hard for me to hold those interests back based on this, you know, the what ifs for the school and the what if for the state, you know, when they're going to do something. We can't rely on them. Even give us an answer, like the man said, he won't answer the phone, you know, it's right now. So I have a hard time holding the project up over the what if on the traffic, and I have a hard time believing 1,400 cars a day is going to come out of that development in the next reasonable time. So that's all I've got to say on it.
Oliver, isn't that based on 6 vehicle traffic trips per house per day?
Yeah, it's kind of based on the number of proposed units. That's the maximum number of units at 10 vehicles per day.
Okay.
So you're saying 10, so if I lived in there, you're saying 10 trips out of my driveway up and down that road?
6 trips per day per house. So you can do 3 and your wife can do 3, which is probably a reasonable amount.
That would only be 840 trips. It would only be 840. So whatever they used, even at 10, I can't imagine me and the wife going out of that driveway 10 times individually a day. At some point, we're going to have to carpool if we want to stay married. So, just a thought. So, but I'm good.
Okay. Any other?
I'm going to be short and sweet because I made the motion. I've said, y'all have heard me say lots of times, I wish I'd never built another house in Stokesdale. But I look at this and I know that it's going to be an aggravation to these folks that's already got houses. But this road, Angel Purdue Road, that road was down to the Angel property for 100 years, I guess. In a way, I look like it's a blessing in disguise that it's gonna come in. I used to not be a fan of the small lots, but, you know, where they got all this open space, I get out on my lawnmower mowing a lot, and I think, man, I can see. Derek said it one time. He said, don't want a big yard.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't want a big yard, and
I've never gone back in after mowing and said, boy, do I wish I could do
well,
that again.
I all the time, and I say that, and then you got all this open space, so you got somewhere for anybody, I guess, to run around. I guess anybody can run around in there, that, you know. So that, I mean, that's good, because, you don't just go in there and strip everything out. And Robert, I liked what Robert had to say, that, you know, if you'd went out 68, I think that would have been a terrible mistake. It'd be a cut through as far as the town went, as far as traffic. That would be great for the town to have a cut through. They could cut through and miss that stoplight. The folks in the development, they wouldn't like it. I just don't think so. I wouldn't. That would open up a new ball of wax. But yeah, I mean, just about everything that somebody said tonight, you know, was legitimate. I mean, that's. But then, you know, what would you do? I mean, what do you do with it? If, you know, the federal government has started doing things, and they'll. I don't know what's going to end up happening, because they don't always obey the law. Who knows? They could come in and not even come to us, you know, for something. I don't know that. I don't know of anything or any fact, but, you know, we're going to get something going, and the land's going to be used. It could end up being an industrial site or something like that. You know, you're going to hear hammering and stuff. I've heard hammering for years now. I mean, hammering and sawing, bulldozers and things. That's just hard to everything gets grown. You buy a house in a place with a lot of wood, you're gonna get it, and that's basically why I made the motion, because they do have a right to do something with the property. And,
Okay.
Blessing in disguise, as far as I'm concerned.
Darren, you have anything to say?
No, I've already spoken on the same.
Okay. If no other comments, I'll call a question. Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Derek?
I'm aye.
Jimmy?
I'm an aye.
Third? I'm concerned with the size of the lots. You know, if there were RS 30, I'd be fine with it, but, and it doesn't matter on my vote anyway, but I'm going to vote no. So it passes 4-1. Okay, next item on the agenda, consideration of a proposal to clean up front of Town Hall and install netting to prevent birds from nesting along the ceiling.
Mr. Mayor, since I'm on the park committee, can I just recommend that we table that and possibly speak to the gentleman that we're going to talk about in a little bit that's going to come out and do it, see if maybe he could do a cheaper option for us.
Okay. And then next item.
There was one.
Discussion and consideration of purchasing automated water meters, safety concerns.
Who brought that up?
We had put it on there several months ago. We were going to replace those about a third, just because it's unsafe for the person reading the meters on 158-68.
Yeah.
Do we have a cost?
Yeah, you know what, fellas? I was zoning out, but I have some numbers for you. So can I?
Okay.
For what?
How much is it going to cost?
Yeah. Guys, so the purpose of this, and we did budget for this in the budget workshop, and it's reflected in this year's budget. I think John brought it up about, 6-7 months ago, that there are a lot of points in this town where Yates reads our water meters. They're just simply not safe due to the traffic, and I believe probably a lot in front of your house, John, or down 68, or some busier roads. But what Priscilla's done is she has gotten there's 30 addresses from Yates. So we want to, or I would like to propose to council that we move forward with replacing those meters so that they, with new electronic meters that can be read simply by, I believe you just drive by, right, John, with a device?
Yeah, they've got a little handheld thing that like a computer.
Right. So again, this isn't a budget. If you look at the math, the 30 homes would cost a projected $7,920, and we budgeted $20,000 this year to do it. So in my opinion, if we knock this out year by year, over the next 2 or 3 years, we can address all these addresses that Yates struggles with.
Okay, I'll second the motion. Any discussion?
No. Is that a budget, right?
It's a budget. I believe it's 20,000 for the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, we got 20,000 in the budget to do,
We do. Chris identified 30 addresses now, so that's what I wanted.
so we may go back and get some more, because we got the budget. Okay.
I think it'd be wise to do that this year. We just don't have those
Yeah, we can
addresses
do that
yet.
next year, January 1st.
Okay, well, I mean, it's in the budget now, so, but you already identified these, so we'll have to vote on those again.
She's got the addresses for these. Y'all can amend my motion and double the number of houses for this fiscal year, and that's fine. But, I mean, we'd still have the money in the budget.
But the money is in the budget for this particular thing, is what you're saying? Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Item 16,002, electronic water meters.
I mean, if it's in there and there's a safety concern, I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
well,
It's up to you. I mean, you're the one who brought it forward, so.
I did, based off what, John had shared with me, and then, I spoke with Gene about it, and I think this is something that had been talked about for several years that we need to do.
I mean, if you want to do more, we'll do, we'll do
Well,
more. Whatever you want to do.
let's go ahead and do these 30. I'll amend my motion to increase it to 60 meters, so Priscilla can work on the list after that and doesn't have to come back with another vote.
Do we not, 30 is the starting number then, not the total of
There's a total of about 90 that need to be done.
manual?
So we've almost got enough money to do it now.
All right, let me
In the budget.
look back at this for a moment then.
Close.
You've got 65, no, there's no water up there at this point, except your,
68,
I'll recognize you.
158.
Hold on, I can hear you.
Probably some areas on 65.
the short end.
Yep.
Yeah, the short end. Okay. Is this money gonna cover, when we have looked at this in the past and talked to Gene over the last 2 or 3 years, is the automated matriculated and we replaced them just in general. This number right now, which is for, 30 meters? Yeah, total of 30 meters in these areas. That's not the total number, or yes, of manuals?
We have about 90. What we were gonna do was 30 per year for 3 years. But if we got it in the budget of 18,000, we could do 60 this year if you want.
Well,
For this fiscal year.
My question is, how do we take, if we, and this is a sticky wicket, basically. If we take and identify 1/3 of them, and we're looking down the road at a total of 3 to 3.5 years for the other 2/3, how are we prioritizing? I mean, what happens if, I'd rather just take the money somewhere, do it all at one time, be done with it. Because really what you're doing, in my estimation, is that we're doing 30 this year, we're leaving 30 for the next year and 30 for the next year, a total of 90, which I understand. We're flipping the coin to see who doesn't get run over in those next 2 years.
Well, one of the considerations, going back to what Alicia had conversations with the people that make the meters, and they say these things have a pretty defined life. I think it was 10 years, but don't hold me to it. And they suggested that we not do them all at one time, because then if you do, then they're all going to go out about that same time frame down 10 years. And that's why they were saying stagger them.
Well, let's just go on with it like Derek.
Can I remove my motion? Because I got a new motion.
Okay. Yeah,
Fire
sure.
away.
Is that cool? All right. I'd like to make a motion to replace 50 meters at a cost of $264 apiece for a total of $13,200. And Priscilla to work with Yates Construction on getting that done this fiscal year.
I'll second the motion.
Who seconded
Did you
that?
say 50?
Jimmy.
50.
Okay,
For the amount of $13,200, the cash outlay for the
It's in
town.
the budget.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just, I would also put in there that Yates Construction would be, we would confer with them regarding where they need to be, the priority 50 or 10 at this point.
I think I said for Priscilla to work with Yates and get the priority list.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call a question, Jim.
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Aye. Next item, consideration of a contract with David Price to install Christmas banners in downtown Stokesdale. I believe it was $500 to put them up and $500 to take them down. That's significantly less than the previous company. One question we probably need to address is, when do we want those installed? Like the middle of November or something like that, just so give him some guidance.
Mr. Mayor, did we, I'm looking at.
We have a
that's the
written
wrong
proposal.
thing. Yeah, I'm trying to find that. Right off the bat, let's see, it's a single.
Dale, do you
all
have a
have one?
copy for their $500?
Here.
Yeah, here, you all should have one. Anybody else need one?
Does everybody have one?
We open for a motion, or y'all trying to figure something out?
I think Farron's.
I'm ready for a motion.
I mean, I'll make a motion that we hire Price Mill Bucket Services to do the banners for a total of 5,000, 500 up, 500 down,
5 up and 5 down.
5 up, 5 down. That puts the other ones back up, right? And that we shoot for the middle of November. I mean, we're gonna have to do it when they can do it, so we, you know.
Okay.
Say,
Yeah, I'll second that.
500.
motion, just to
I
get it
said
on.
5,000?
yeah, that,
Lord have mercy.
Jimmy, that's not in the budget.
49,999.
Well, if we vote on it, it might be in it in a minute if we ain't careful.
It's
not there,
It's a
Jimmy.
grand total of $1,000.
$1,000, yeah.
Okay,
500 up, 500 down. Good Lord.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Always will take me off
Call
the
a
checkbook.
question. Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren? And I.
Aye.
Okay,
Please. Is this to come out of the Christmas event, or just the events, not the 5,000 for the Christmas events, or just the events?
I guess it's cultural events or whatever.
Just the events?
Or you go, yeah, would it be directly out of the, are you looking at 5,000 for the parade?
Well, I'm looking to do less than 5,000, but I don't want to come back.
Well, I didn't know.
We've
what-
already did the 5,000.
we always get
I know, but what I'm saying,
contributions and
well, we
fees.
used to, we haven't in 2 years, so.
We haven't had a parade in 2 years.
Well, no, I know that, I'm not arguing the point, what I'm saying is, do we need,
There's 12,000 in there. I didn't know if we were gonna dedicate.
I see no, I don't see where else it'd come from. That's a good question.
I didn't know
Thank
if
you.
it was gonna come out of the Christmas 5,000 or just the event.
Oh, no, I'm not giving up Christmas 5.
Okay.
Not for
Gotcha.
this.
Okay.
Leave the current signs up. Call me Scrooge.
welcome to Summerfield.
I think we should just keep them up all year round, be happy holidays all the time. It'd be cheaper.
The houses in town.
You know, every day's a holiday in Stokesdale.
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all got me
Till the
confused.
sun
Did we
comes
vote on
up.
that motion?
You did.
I thought we did. 5-0.
It would be cheaper to be
Okay.
every holidays.
Move on. Discuss Republic Waste Services and determine if going back to weekly recycling is feasible. Jim, I think you talked with George or
Yes,
Chris Wilson.
following our,
Yeah, we did.
our last meeting where they kind of talked to some of the people in town that had some concerns about their service. And a general consensus, even from Republic, was that the every other week recycling was not working from either standpoint. So I asked them to put together a proposal to go back to weekly recycling. Now, just a little history so we all understand this. In lieu of a rate increase that was already factored into the budget that they had the right to do, they agreed to go to every other week recycling. So basically what we're gonna do here is just turn the clock back and reverse our decision. So I asked them to put together a quote, what it would cost to go back to weekly recycling in lieu of, you know, what we would have gone to if we hadn't made that decision before. So they put together a quote. Now, they had asked in that quote that, if they could extend the contract to go to 2023, and I told them that I'd like to have it both ways. I didn't want to get into a contract issue, and so I did ask them to extend that price both ways. So I'm gonna start with option 2. So if we stay with our original contract that would end June the 30th, 2022, the price increase to go back to weekly recycling starting in November would be $1.50 per month, per resident. So that would take the total amount would be from $18.80 per month to $20.30 per month. So approximately $4.50 over the quarterly billing to go back to every other week to weekly recycling. They also offered another option would be extend the contract out to 2023. They would only increase by 93 cents per month, which would be, 93 cents per month, at $18.80 per resident would go to $19.73 per month. I did have a conversation with Mr. Wilson, who is the municipality representative for this area now, and he did offer some. He just wanted to relay it to you, so I'll relay it to the council. He said to keep in mind that when we bid this out 3 years ago, we bid it out under a model that did not have the gas prices that are currently floating right now, and also the cost of goods and services, the cost of drivers have gone up. He said, so just keep in mind that when we re-RFQ this in June, that the model that we are going to be bidding off of, even from their standpoint, is going to be higher. So that was the caveat to extending the contract to 2023, was to understand that when we go to rebid in June, there's a lot of factors that have changed since we had bid 3 years ago, and it is going to be a higher contract. He said, I don't even have to try to run the numbers. He said it's going to be higher because their business model has changed, and everybody's has. And he said that once that goes to bidding, his office or the local people do not bid that. It goes to a kind of a central location that based on their business model, their cost of doing business, that's where that number comes from. So he said, just wanted to prepare us for that. When he offered the extending it for a year and keeping it at the same price. So I just present that to the council just for your own information. So at this point, like I said, we can keep the price at $19.73 for the next year and a half, based on option 1, or we can go to 2030 to 2022. Which at that time we'll have to rebid either way.
How many people do we have? Does anybody know that they skip completely? I mean, I know they're having a hard time.
He threw some figures out. I apologize for not writing them down, but he said that we talked about that, and I expressed to him that our biggest concerns, it seemed to be coming out of that meeting, were the people that live outside the town core, and the ones that were, kind of out there by themselves in rural areas. That seems to be who has the most skips. And he just said that based on the number of stops that they make inside the town, and I'll just throw a number out, it was around 11,000 is what he said, based on 700 some times 6 times a month. That's how they get that number or whatever. And he said, based on that rate, they have less than 3 or 5% miss rate. He said, while there's no excuse for missing someone's cans, because that's what they pay for. He said it is not as bad when you look at the overall number of stops that they make in the town per month. He said he's more concerned about their response to those people and making sure that, if we miss he said, because we're going to miss cans. It's just human nature, new drivers, different things. He said his more concern of that is, how does the Republic respond to that and get out there and get that guy's can picked up right away? Do we have good communications with those? And I think we addressed some of that, hopefully, with the email that they've put in, and so that's his bigger concern is how are they addressing the citizens in a more timely manner.
I wonder how many, I guess what I'm saying is how many are being missed completely? I mean, I've had it happen a couple times that, I didn't get any service the whole week, and they come the next week.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if they might be willing to put in their contract that if, they miss somebody completely and don't get out there and take care of it, that they can get an adjustment on their bill, plus maybe a 10, 15% extra. I mean, you pay your bill, you expect to have trash. And man, I know it's not a lot of people, but still, if you get your trash missed, you want your service if you're paying for it.
Jimmy, I don't have an answer. I know,
I mean, y'all think that's not a feasible idea, or just?
I believe Todd's wife got skipped, same situation.
Several times.
And I know they made that concession. I think they waived their bill for a month or so many weeks or something. So, I mean, I obviously can't speak for Republic tonight and make that in my amendment. I guess our option is something like, I really don't have, we can make an amendment to that, but I can't really speak for them. So we can either table this and go back to them and.
No, I'm not asking for you to table it.
But I don't disagree with you. I think that maybe we can go back, regardless of this issue, we can go back and ask them to kind of put something a little bit in place to say, what is your procedure going to be if you continuously miss people?
I think it'd be good customer service for them, because that way, somebody wouldn't be paying for a service. And, but I mean, I understand.
Yeah, but your clerical might cost a lot more than the,
that's what I said. I want you to talk about it,
Let's have some.
I tell you what, we are getting more complaints every month on this. And, they keep saying we've had issues and we're gonna correct them, but I haven't seen that much, if any, improvement. I think the number of complaints just keeps going up. We extended it last year for an additional year, and I'm sure it probably will go up next year. It's just a crapshoot. Do you want to lock in at a rate for another year, or do we want to see if they improve their service? If not, put it out for a bid.
How many people are we having that are, how many complaints are we still having? Are we having a ton of complaints? I haven't seen any emails lately.
Yes.
Yeah, having a ton of complaints?
What's the time? 10, 12 every other week or so, or what? Because I don't know.
Okay, I guess I want to ask this too.
Well,
as far as how many, I've heard of several people wanting to pick recycling up every week. And, I kind of think we should have left it there, but, how many people are we having that want to pick recycling? One guy said that he'd be willing to pay double. But the thing is, he could pay double now and get 2 trash services without doing it.
Well, it's all or nothing. You can't say, we're going to let half of you get once or twice. Now, if anybody needs more than every 2 weeks as it is, or the one, they can ask for an additional can, and there's an additional cost on that. And I have no idea what it is.
Well,
they can get all the cans they want if they're willing to pay extra money.
Yeah. Well, I just going by what a guy said here one night. He said he'd be willing to pay double. And if he paid double, he would get it. So what I'm saying is, how many complaints are we having about the every other
Well,
week?
we're getting more complaints. They go down my road and they pick up everybody's but mine. Yeah. Or they missed me for 3 weeks in a row. They talked about one time, at the meeting the last time he was here, if they miss you and you report it, they put you on a priority list to make sure they pick you up the next week. And they're falling through the cracks on that, because we're getting people that are saying, hey, this is the 4th week in a row that I didn't get picked up. So
I really commend Jim for reaching out and readdressing the issue of weekly recycling. Hindsight's 20/20. In hindsight, we shouldn't have gone every other week. That being said, I believe they're really struggling right now. This is based off citizen feedback. They're very honest and open engagement with us, addressing some of the issues they have with labor shortages and truck shortages. I think a lot of folks can relate with labor shortages right now. You know, so when does the contract expire, Jim?
July the 30th of 2022.
July the 30th of 2022.
So you got about a year and a half-ish.
Of 22, you got
I'm sorry,
7
June
months.
30th, 2022.
So
We got 6, 7, 8 months
23
left
would
in the
be the
contract.
Extra year.
we've got 8 months. You know, I think we'll start putting it out to bid 4 months before that to lock that up. Going back to weekly recycling is for me, it's a no-brainer. At the same time,
The
with
one
the-
thing that I would say,
well, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, be my guest, brother.
No, if you were still talking, he moved forward and I didn't understand.
No, I'm sorry. I get chatty. You know, how would it's well known that we're struggling with Republic. How would paying more right now be perceived?
I don't know that it would.
I don't know. I mean, I guess a question that I would have is, you know, if I was having problems, and I'm not, they get mine before 7 every morning, every Wednesday morning. But the question I would have is, you know, why are we giving them more work if they can't do the work that's on their plate? That's just a concern I have. But as far as going back to weekly recycling, I think Jim's done a really good job of reaching out to them, and I think this is a very reasonable rate.
Yeah.
You know, it goes to show you
Yeah, it is.
I'd like
all
to
the
go
overhead
back,
we must
I'd
pay
like
for.
to go back weekly, regardless of who it is.
Yeah, so let me, I told Republic that I didn't know that I didn't know that there was probably enough willingness on the council to discuss an extension on the contract since we've already extended it one time. So I think at this point, I'm gonna simplify my my motion. I'm gonna make a motion that we take option 2 and go back to every other, to weekly recycling at the expense of $1.50 a month until the end of the contract of June 30th, 2022.
And give them what, month to put that in play and get.
I had originally, I don't know if it, you know, I mean, I can't speak for him, but I would think we would want to do it as quickly as possible.
I'll second that motion.
So,
The discussion wise, you know, these folks talk, before that, we had heard, not too long before that, from their representatives at another point. And one of the big things that I'm very concerned about this whole thing, not just them, but all of them, we've got hundreds of ships sitting out on the East Coast, the West Coast. Mm-hmm. And they're sitting dead in their tracks. They're anchored.
I know, brother.
And all this goes through them to the Orient. All the trash does. That's a couple of the times before you all were really here, they actually said, our stuff, there's a certain amount of it, and it goes on a ship, and it goes back over to the Middle East, and that's where they do it. I don't know well, none of us know what's going on. That's the problem.
Farron, man, you the man.
What's irrelevant?
As long as they get the garbage and get it out of
We don't
I don't care
care.
what happens after that.
Take it to the Orient and the Middle East.
Throw it away.
My point is this: we can do it now, we can do it later. The outcome may be that that's the least part of concern in the not too distant future, the way it's looking. So I don't,
Well, I'm not
I guess
voting
you can go back and talk to them and say, will you do it this way or that way, and they'll do it. I guess they'll agree to whatever.
We got a motion to second.
Yeah, I'm not gonna vote to extend it to 23.
To approve option 2. Well, let's vote on that.
All right.
I call the question. Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
I'm going no.
Jimmy?
Aye.
And I.
That's 5 ayes and 3 noes. Or no, that's 2 ayes and 1 nose. I'm sorry.
How'd you
Don't
do in
think they can-
arithmetic? Okay, next item on the agenda, discuss qualifications of a town clerk candidate. For this matter, we need to go into closed session according to General Statutes 143, 318, 11A-6. So I make a motion that we recess as a town council and reconvene in chambers in closed session. I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Jim Rigsby will second.
Okay, call a question, Jim.
Oh, Jim's here.
Derek? Jimmy?
Yeah.
Darren and I.
Theron and you, yeah. I, you, he, she, we, they, it.
Okay.
Was this tabled again? Was this tabled again?
How do we get Tom on closed session?
I think we got a call.
I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we have to go. Tom, can you hear me?
I think Derek or
Tom,
What's that? I gotta go.
is he asleep?
Derek.
He not here?
Tom.
Tom, can you?
Get up to your microphone.
Oh, you had to tell me that twice tonight.
Tell you, y'all are just.
He's sitting there waiting.
Yeah, tell Derek to call me on my cell phone.
Okay, I think you heard.
Tom, do you have reception there, or do you need to text me your home number?
No, I've got reception. You can call my cell.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Go right ahead.
You're welcome, Tom. Can you hear me good now?
I can hear you great now.
Good
I
night,
missed
Tom.
half the meeting because I couldn't. The
Hi,
microphone
Tom.
wasn't working.
That was
All right,
Patty.
see ya.
Oh, she miss you over here.
Oh, thank you, Patty. You're sweet.
You sure have been really quiet tonight.
Hey, I told him that I was going to be quiet.
Yeah, you were. You were. Okay.
You had Oliver over there next to you. That was nice.
He is nice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Poor
he was
Oliver.
fun, but
He is.
he's not as cute as you.
Oh, he went on. He didn't hear that part. He must have got the phone call. Get this microphone out of my face. He had to get on me tonight about the microphone. He couldn't hear me.
How do you turn this off?
I mean, nobody said I could go home, but they don't need me anymore.
How do you turn this off?
You can't. Oh, wait a minute. Priscilla just said, hold please. She just told me what to do. Thank you, Priscilla. I'm looking for it. Hold on. Mute all. Do I just hit mute? Mute.
see them here, but you can be out in the, outside of their land and run all around you. I've never seen them like that before.
I was just reading something on the next door ridge, or next door neighbor, whatever it's called, and, the guy that used to do the landscaping here, Spivey, I can't remember, Spalding, he was saying that a bottle of peppermint oil and water and spray your windows and outside your house, and it won't kill them, but it'll run them away. They won't stay there. He said they're probably at my neighbor's house, is what he said, but it's.
I mean, what are they good
like
for?
that's a- I don't know, I heard it's to catch them with water and Dawn detergent, you know, put them in a bottle and.
I mean, are they good for any, I mean, are they good for anything? Do they do any?
Supposedly, every one of God's creatures has a purpose, but I have
That's
no
what I was,
idea. I have no
right.
idea what it would be. for stink bugs.
Do they eat other bugs? I mean, do they eat poisonous bugs or
No,
something?
I think.
Stink bugs do bite I had a customer that him and his wife both, his twin brother and his wife both got bit by a stink bug.
Well, then it's self-defense.
Yeah, because whelped up, because his brother, I forget where he got bit at, a hand or something, but his wife had reached over on the nightstand, drank some water one night, he said, and it went down in her nightgown and stung her, bit her. He said it was a big old welt, and I was like, I didn't think they bit, they sure do sound like zombies trying to do that also.
I think I'm gonna try to do some research about a stink bug and see what they're good for. I might turn that into the editor of the Northwest Observer.
And also just, getting just practical ways of dealing with them.
Yeah.
Peppermint oil, something else.
That's what she said.
Yeah, it was peppermint oil and water, I think is what his, I don't know what the mixture of it was, but it showed a sprayer and all that, sprayed his windows and outside his house, outside the house, and it just kept them away. It didn't kill them, but it just kept them away. But then he had the old emoji that was laughing with tears. It said, it probably went to my neighbor's house.
Well, that's the way with moles and voles. The best that you can usually do is just get them to go to the neighbor's house. Yeah, I mean,
You're not trying to be unneighborly, but.
It's like if Jimmy catches a mouse, he doesn't like to kill the mouse, he'll put it outside, it's like he's just gonna come right back.
Rats, snakes, and spiders, I do not want any part of them.
He opened the cabinet, the other one, he heard something, he opened the cabinet, and the mouse was staring in. I did it yesterday, I opened it to see if it had gotten in the trap, and it's on the bottom shelf, and it's just looking up at me like our little weenie dog look when he's done something wrong, just look at you. And he went to try to catch it, and he wasn't able to get it, and I'm like,
I was in the garage. I've had arachnophobia since I was little. And I do know where it came from. It came from when I was little. We were playing outside on the carport, and there was a spider out there, and I went and, stomped it, and when I did,
all the babies.
And ever since then, I have been terrified. I do not like them at all. I literally have chills on me right now.
I'll take my shield and throw it in.
I won't kill them. I won't get near them. And I was in the garage one day, and I don't know what I was doing, but when I went to turn, it was like one of those, I call them camel crickets. I don't know what they are.
It looks like a jumping spider's what it looks
They're,
like.
they're big, but then they're huge. And I screamed, and all of them come flying. He didn't know what in the world. He thought something done got me, or he thought I failed. He didn't know what happened. And he said all he remembers is me standing there going, ah! Screamed at the top of my lungs. He said, you were like frozen, and all that was coming out was scream. And I was like, kill it, and because I would not kill it, because I'm terrified of them.
You won't get close enough to kill them.
I'm scared to death of them.
I'll kill them.
When I was single and I lived in Ridgeway, Virginia, years, long time ago, I lived in they had little apartments right there in Ridgeway, Virginia, is where I lived. I worked third shift, and I was getting ready to taking a shower to go to work. So it was about 9 o'clock at night, and I went to pull my shower curtain back, and there was one in my bathtub.
Oh, yeah, that happens a lot. I wake up in the middle of the night, get bathroom in the middle.
Oh,
I turn the light on and I'll see it and I'm like, getting up, I have the fly swatter hanging over there.
I went next door to my next door neighbors and knocked on the door and made him come over there and kill it.
Do you want to ask her a question? Matt, sir? You want to ask her a question? You want to ask him a question before she leaves?
I got ready not to. Everybody deserves to know.
Yeah. We can do that later on.
See you, thank you.
Okay, we're going to reconvene as a town council. I guess, do we need to vote on that, Tom?
No.
I don't think so. Okay, then the only thing, comments from council? Jim?
I don't have any comments.
Derek?
Halloween is on a Sunday this year, so it'll be getting dark earlier and earlier. So please, when you're out and about that night, please watch out for the trick-or-treaters. And also, the parade, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Saturday, December the 11th at 2 p.m. Things are coming together nicely. I'm not ready to report them out for Patty to report them out, but they're coming together really, really nicely. And I'm excited about that. We could use a couple volunteers on game day. That's December the 11th. If you are interested in volunteering on the day of the parade, or if you are interested in planning the parade, please contact our Stokesdale Town Hall at Stokesdale at stokesdale.org, or give us a call at Town Hall at 336-643-4011. We would love to have your help.
Okay, Jimmy?
I'd like to thank my wife for staying.
Yeah.
Didn't I?
Give you a
Ride home.
Oh, you'd have.
You mean staying with you or
I don't
staying
know,
at the meeting?
and I don't know why she stays. She
Okay.
seems to like coming to these things.
Oak Ridge Cab Company's just a call away, aren't
That's all I could actually.
Darren, you got any comments?
I think we're good to go.
I don't either. Announcements, planning board meeting Thursday, October 28th, at 7 o'clock at Town Hall. Town council meeting Thursday, November 11th at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall. And that's all, everything. So I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mighty night.
All right, bye, guys. I gotta get home. I gotta get to McDonald's and get my son something to eat.
We're still hot. Night, Tom.
Good night, guys.
All right.
Hey,
Ladies.
did we
Stay
record?
safe.
Oh, yeah, there's the tape recorder.
I'm gonna copy on.
Hey, did you want to ride in the main float with Santa, Tom?
I thought I might have to be Rudolph.
Recording.
He's gone, you
I'm
shut him
assuming,
off.
I think they said that.
Oh, he shut him off.
Like they did last.
Stop the clock, Tom.
So if you get
Yep.
calls, just tell them.
Convert meeting recording.
We're out of here.
I should have went to school.
You know what?
Sorry it took so long. Just a long
It is what it is.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the China. You know, that lady made all that money off that garbage. You know.
Yeah.